Design Studio on Nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robian Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness calls on global leaders to take urgent action to resolve the civil conflict and war in Haiti and Gaza.
We continue to support the call for a ceasefire agreement that includes the release of all remaining hostages and definitively ending the protracted war and human suffering.
And the Prime Minister urges the international community to launch a coordinated global war on gangs.
Jamaicans for Justice launches petition calling for the mandatory use of body-worn cameras by the police.
Mark Golding returned unopposed as PNP president.
The Integrity Commission has submitted 4 new reports to the Parliament.
In news from the rest of the world, Hurricane Humberto and a tropical disturbance expected to impact parts of the Caribbean in the coming days.
The U.S. Supreme Court has allowed Donald Trump to slash foreign aid.
In headline sports, team manager Ian Forbes highlights Navaski Anderson as one of Jamaica's breakout stars of the World Championships.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is leading a delegation at the 80th session of the UN General Assembly. We'll hear from the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, what was your favorite moment in the NNN quiz competition? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice has launched a petition calling on the government to legislate the mandatory use of body-worn cameras by the police. JFJ's Executive Director Mikel Jackson, Pro-Chancellor at the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, Professor Anthony Clayton, and the country's public defender, Carolyn Reed Cameron, will join us.
And at 8, it's the A-Team with Dennis Brooks.
All these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, RevaNews.ai, and on the Reva News app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, it's our favorite day of the week, Friday, September 26, 2025.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has called on global leaders to take urgent action to resolve the civil conflict and war in Haiti and Gaza, respectively. He was addressing the 80th General Assembly of the United Nations in New York.
October 7, 2023 attack on Israel and is deeply horrified by the devastating humanitarian consequences of the counteroffensive in the Palestinian territories. A just and peaceful resolution to the conflict is only possible through diplomacy and dialogue. We continue to support United Nations Security Council Resolution 242 and support the call for a ceasefire agreement that includes the release of all remaining hostages and definitively ending the protracted war and human suffering.
Dr. Holness's expression of horror came on the same day and from the same spot. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused much of the international community of a blood libel against the Jewish people. Netanyahu rejected calls for a two-state solution and denied that his government's offensive in Gaza was leading to mass starvation. Meanwhile, on the matter of the civil crisis now plaguing Haiti, Dr. Holness called on the international community to do more.
We call on member states to provide the necessary financial and logistic support to ensure the success of this initiative. But security operations alone will not suffice. Haiti's governance deficit and fragile institutional framework must be addressed. Once stability is restored, the international community must help rebuild the democratic institution, ensure free and fair elections, expand humanitarian relief, and invest in infrastructure to support long-term stability. Haiti's recovery requires sustained global support.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. He was speaking at the UN General Assembly in New York today.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister also urged the international community to launch a coordinated global war on gangs. Dr. Holness says all world leaders must join the effort.
Gangs are now global syndicates with resources that rival nation states. Jamaica has made significant progress in tackling gangs and reducing our homicide rate by more than 50% in recent years. But we know that unless these networks are totally dismantled, our gains remain fragile. This is why we call for nothing less than a global war on gangs, a coordinated international campaign to cut off the flow of weapons, money, and the influence that sustains them.
Amid controversial U.S. airstrikes against alleged drug smugglers in the Caribbean Sea, Dr. Holness, who is also chair of the Caribbean Community CARICOM, welcomed efforts to intercept drug vessels at sea, but he offered an important caution.
Jamaica welcomes cooperation with all partners in this fight, including the interdiction of drug trafficking vessels, provided that such operations are carried out with full respect for international law, human rights, and with the coordination and collaboration of the countries of the region.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness.
Human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice JFJ has launched a petition calling for the government to legislate the mandatory use of body-worn cameras by the police. The petition comes amid a 73% increase in police fatal shootings. In a statement today, JFJ says the force's current body camera policy is non-binding and lacks mandatory enforcement. Robin Williams has the details.
Jamaica has recorded 230 fatal police shootings since the start of the year. 20 have occurred during the month of September alone. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, says this represents the 10th consecutive month where 20 or more people have been shot and killed by the police. According to JFJ, 118 of the 2025 fatalities occurred during planned or tactical operations. The group argues that these numbers demand scrutiny. JFJ says while the reductions in homicide and the efforts of law enforcement officers are appreciated, human rights cannot be traded in the name of national security. The group further states that body-worn cameras, while not a cure-all, have proven effective in reducing complaints and improving evidence quality in other jurisdictions. JFJ is urging the government to transform the JCF's 2021 protocol into law, mandating camera activation during stops, traffic checks, and use of force incidents. Also, to secure storage and retention of footage and proactive release of recordings from critical incidents within a set time frame. JFJ is also proposing annual audits by INDECOM and immediate deployment of a portion of the current and incoming cameras to all high-risk planned operations. The petitioners say such steps would deter misconduct, protect police from false allegations, reduce community tensions, and strengthen justice delivery. The petition comes just a day after the Police High Command issued its own statement on body-worn cameras. The High Command asserted that operational decisions as to how the body-worn cameras are deployed and utilized rest squarely with the police force as a law enforcement body. Currently, the police have 750 cameras in use. 674 have been assigned to daily patrols and the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, and the remainder are used for training. Another 1,000 units are close to being delivered, and a further 3,000 are planned over the next 3 years. But JFJ is stressing that none of these have been earmarked for planned and tactical operations where most police-related deaths occur. Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News.
To politics now, Mark Golding is to be returned unopposed as president of the opposition People's National Party, the PNP. This follows the close of nominations at midday today. PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell announced the outcome of the nominations.
For the post of president, we have one nominee, Mark Jefferson Golding, MP from South St. Andrew. And for the post of vice president, we had 4 nominations. That being Nikhil Phillips, MP from Northwest Manchester, Ian Hales, Member of Parliament from Western Westmoreland, Natalie Nita Garvey, Member of Parliament for North Central St. Catherine, and Mayor Norman Scott, who is the chair of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. That being the case, we will have no need to hold any elections because we have sufficient nominees for the posts that are available.
Dr. Campbell says Senator Donna Scott Motley chose not to be re-elected as a vice president. He adds that the PNP will also meet for its National Executive Council in October.
I want to use this opportunity to thank Comrade Donna Scott Motley, who served as Vice President over the last couple of years. She took a decision not to offer herself for re-election. She did a tremendous job in the capacity as Vice President and also during the election campaign, and I want to put on record our appreciation of the service that she has offered. The People's National Party will now move forward with our other activities, starting with our 2-day NEC in the first weekend in October, and our annual regional conference and regional election of regional officers, and then we will have a 1-day private session of conference on the 30th of November. The word has been and continues to be love.
That's Dr. Dayton Campbell, the PNP General Secretary.
Former Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn says she believes her public criticism of the Integrity Commission resulted in a frosty and cold relationship with its former chairman, retired Justice Seymour Panton. Ms. Llewellyn made the disclosure during a farewell interview on Nationwide at 5 as she reflected on her 17-year tenure as DPP. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
Paula Llewellyn ended her run as the country's longest tenured and only female DPP on September 19. Claudette Thompson is serving as the acting DPP until the announcement of Llewellyn's replacement. In a recent letter to the Gleaner, Justice Panton says the country's next DPP will have a number of good examples to follow from the office's predecessors. He did not name Paula Llewellyn as one of them. Miss Llewellyn told Ricardo Brooks she was not surprised by the omission based on Panton's behavior towards her.
I go back to the first in respect of the former chairman of the Integrity Commission. I made a statement.
When you say frost, you keep using the word frost. What do you mean by frost?
Because I discovered that after that he became extremely cold if I would see him in a public arena.
She believes this is due to public criticism she made of a number of public entities, including the Integrity Commission, which Justice Panton chaired at the time.
But it had to do, I believe, with what I said in the public domain when you had this whole issue operating, and I think I gave a speech somewhere, and I was talking about the responsibilities of entities like Indicom, Integrity Commission, the DPP, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and other entities that have to make decisions that will affect negatively the liberty or the reputation of an individual.
The senior prosecutor says her relationship with the retired jurist had soured to such an extent that he refused to sit next to her in public.
And I remember one particular funeral where we were seated beside each other and he deliberately changed his seat.
Justice Seymour Panton?
Yes, I don't operate at that petty level.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is...
Book says it's 14 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 out west in Montego Bay.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit account puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
Continuing the news, the Integrity Commission has submitted 4 reports of investigation to Parliament. According to the Commission, 3 of the reports were accompanied by indicative rulings from the Director of Corruption Prosecution. The Commission says the documents have been formally received and signed for at the Parliament. The Integrity Commission says it anticipates that the reports and the associated rulings will be tabled in both houses as soon as possible.
Digicel Jamaica has launched the first of a series of solar energy-powered cell sites across the country. The first site, located near the Norman Manley International Airport, was officially opened on Friday. The project is being executed in partnership with American-based renewable energy firm Caban Energy. Digicel says the move represents a critical step towards building sustainable and resilient connectivity following last year's passage of Hurricane Beryl. Stephen Murad is CEO of Digicel.
Last year I made a promise to the government of Jamaica to look at how we can strengthen and harden our mobile network infrastructure on the back of Hurricane Beryl, and today is just the start of that. Yes, we've done a ribbon cutting of our first ever solarized site here in Jamaica, so it really puts a huge amount of resilience, and over the next 12 to 15 months we'll have more than half of all of our 930 locations all across 14 parishes of Jamaica will have solar. So think about it in terms of structure and hardening. You've got JPS as our main network infrastructure provider in terms of energization. We've got batteries, we've got generators, and now we've got solarization.
Mr. Murad says the first site to receive the solar upgrade is the one responsible for keeping incoming tourists and businesses connected.
Yeah, so this site's one of the main sites. So we've obviously got Norman Manley International Airport over there, so serving all of the great visitors that want to come on holiday to Jamaica, all the business customers, returning residents, so a huge important site. We've obviously got all of the Palisados traffic and transport, so it's not really a residential site given where we are, so we're really excited about powering business, small, medium, large, around the area as well.
Stephen Murad, CEO of Digicel Jamaica.
Meanwhile, the CEO of Caban Energy, Alexandra Rash, says the site can be powered by solar energy for up to a day in the event of an electricity outage.
In a normal operating day, this site is providing power to the equipment on renewable energy every single day. So during the day, it provides power through solar, and in the evenings, it provides power through the battery packs, because the battery packs store the energy during the day through solar. And then it's connected to, and then we connect back to the grid. In the event of an outage, we can provide power to the equipment all throughout the day. And then in the event of a hurricane, we're also up and independent from the grid.
Mrs. Rash says the project is the first of a wide-scale Caribbean solar project for Digicel.
So we can provide power, we can support sites that are anywhere from 1 kilowatt all the way to 25 kilowatts of power for cell sites, and then for what we call non-cell sites, which are offices, data centers, warehouses, we can provide power all the way to 1 megawatt.
Where else are you targeting in terms of the ones that are supposed to help the grid?
All over Jamaica. Every cell site that is feasible in Jamaica, and then we're moving on to Barbados and other markets.
Alexandra Rash, CEO of Caban Energy.
A 16-year-old student of the Central High School in Clarendon died on Thursday from injuries he sustained in a motor vehicle crash. The deceased has been identified as Tyrese Shepherd, otherwise called Reese, of Post Road District, Chapelton, in the parish. The collision reportedly involved a motorcycle. This incident follows a bus crash in Dublin Castle, St. Andrew, on Tuesday, where 18 students were injured. They were taken to hospital for treatment and released. There were no fatalities.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The U.S. National Hurricane Center says Hurricane Humberto and a tropical disturbance are expected to impact parts of the Caribbean in the coming days. Humberto rapidly strengthened over the central Atlantic today. The storm was about 400 miles northeast of the Leeward Islands. The center says life-threatening surf and rip currents will begin affecting Puerto Rico, the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Bermuda over the weekend. Forecasters expect a tropical disturbance near Hispaniola and eastern Cuba to become a tropical depression near the Bahamas. The disturbance is described as a disorganized cluster of showers and thunderstorms. The system already brought heavy rains in the Dominican Republic on Friday, leading authorities to evacuate hundreds and declare a red alert in 5 provinces.
The Supreme Court on Friday allowed the Trump administration to withhold $4 billion in foreign aid that had been appropriated by Congress. In its brief order, the court's conservative majority said the president's ability to conduct foreign affairs appeared to outweigh the potential harm faced by foreign aid recipients. The court cautioned that its decision was a temporary holding while litigation continues through the lower courts and should not be read as a final determination on the merits. 3 liberal justices dissented, saying the issue before the court is too consequential to address through the emergency docket without full briefing or argument.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness calls on global leaders at the UN to take urgent action to resolve the conflicts in Haiti and Gaza.
And the Prime Minister urges the international community to launch a coordinated global war on gangs.
Jamaicans for Justice wants to see the mandatory use of body-worn cameras by the police.
Mark Golding returned unopposed as PNP president.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
Listeners, you can find the news on our website at rivernews.ai and on the River News app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Do it for your best life. Go check your HIV status. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me I tell yourself it, do it for you, do it for you. Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan. Do it for your best life. Do it for your best life. You don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life.
From a single hopeful seed to your family's growing need. Nothing is out of reach, no matter how small they seem. Access Financial will always support your dreams. 25 years, side by side. 25 years, your joy and pride. 25 years is quite a ride at the heart of helping you thrive.
Access Financial Services, 25 years strong.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Good afternoon and welcome to your sports report. I'm Orin Buchanan. At sports time, Wolmer's were leading Pembroke Hall 11-0 in the East Manning Cup football competition, while St. George's College led Bridgeport 2-0. Meanwhile, in the Costa Cup action, Petersfield led Little London 2-0, William Knibb led Spot Valley 2-0, and Alphonsus Davis and Knox College were locked at 2-2. Jamaican middle distance runner Novaski Anderson has earned high praises from Ian Forbes, manager of Jamaica's team, to the recent World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. This after he delivered two sensational performances in the men's 800 meters that shattered the national record twice in as many races. Anderson stunned fans when he clocked 1 minute 43.72 seconds in the semi-finals to secure third place and qualify for the final. That time broke the previous national record. But the young star wasn't finished yet. Just 2 days later, he crossed the finishing line in a blistering 1 minute 42.77 seconds in the final, placing 7th in a stacked field and lowered his own personal record yet again. Forbes emphasized that Anderson's talent and potentials are undeniable.
We had a Jamaican youngster running 142.7 plus, which is amazing, simply amazing. And of course, we are noted for sprinting. I think this will encourage some of our other youngsters to look at the 800 as an option. But I remember one evening in Totor, it was pouring rain, and who was out there, shirt off in the thunderstorm? It was Novaski Anderson, still going through his paces training. So he would have put in the work.
Ian Forbes. Now to cricket, Ryan Griffith, acting head coach of West Indies team for the upcoming T20 series against Nepal, stated that the players are acclimatizing to conditions in Dubai ahead of their 3-match series, which blows off tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Jamaica time.
Well, it's a short series. We only got in a couple of days ago. We didn't get the ground running in terms of prep, but most of our players who just finished the CPL, which they have some cricket under the belt, which is a good sign for us. And today we will then have that opportunity to understand the condition more in Dubai.
The team will feature a plethora of young players in the squad. According to Griffith, he's eager for them to showcase their talents against Nepal.
Well, it always excites me when it comes to young players. You know what you're going to get from young players. You know the eagerness, the willingness from them, and they're hungry, so it's going to be a very interesting series, and I'm looking forward to work with these young, excited players.
Ryan Griffith. Sticking with cricket, fast bowler Johan Lane has replaced Shamar Joseph in the West Indies squad for the Test series against India. Joseph has been ruled out due to an injury and will be re-evaluated ahead of the Bangladesh Limited Over series. The West Indies are set to face India in a 2-Test series. The squad arrived in India on Wednesday morning and will stage their first training session on Saturday at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. Captain of Jamaica's under-21 netball team, Roxana McLean, says the team is determined to finish the Netball Youth World Cup on a high when they face Scotland in the 5th place playoff on Sunday.
It's our final match of the tournament and we are determined to finish on a high.
The Young Sunshine Girls booked their spot in the playoffs after a hard-fought 57-47 victory over Cook Islands on Friday. McLean praised their teammates for their spirited performance, highlighting the energy and commitment shown on court.
It was an amazing performance from the team this morning. I really think we played with purpose, we played with passion, and we played with heart. And that definitely got us the results that we needed. Everyone really stepped up, and for the most part, we stuck to the game plan that was set up by our coaches. And by just sticking to it, we were able to secure the win.
After missing out on a place in the medal rounds earlier in the tournament, the Jamaicans rebounded with back-to-back wins. Coach Annette Daly emphasized the team's motivation to leave Gibraltar with a positive result.
We want to ensure that although we are not in the medal contention group, we want to ensure that, we are right behind that, and we are going to work hard to see if we can secure the 5th place.
Annette Daly. Now President of the Caribbean Association of National Olympic Committees, Keith Joseph, has lauded the region's athletes following a strong showing at the recently concluded Tokyo World Championships. In an official statement, Joseph hailed the 19-medal haul, which included 2 gold medals, as a remarkable contribution to the Caribbean's standing in global athletics.
The Caribbean athletes, helped of course by their coaches, their support staff, and by the federation that they represent and the country they represent, by and large have shown a honor developmental pathway that can only augur well for the future of the region.
Those are stories making your sports report. Orin Buchanan.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Cubby's Baby Wipes is ideal for your baby's delicate skin, infused with vitamin E and aloe vera, and available for home or on the go. The time by Cubby's Baby Wipes is
5:29.
From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocherius to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's Airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airports Authority of Jamaica is
30 degrees Celsius in City Kingston and 30 degrees Celsius out west in Montego Bay.
Me grew up as my granny save her money under her mattress.
But at an old time something, that's where I save my money in the bank. And become a one. Buy a little house, but also save in a building society. We have to be smart with how we save our money.
So what if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in. Make I tell you something. With the JDIC Deposit Insurance Scheme, once you save your money in a commercial bank, merchant bank, or building society, your deposit is covered up to a maximum of $1.2 million per depositor per financial institution if the institution fails. All the information that you need is available at jdic.org, and you can follow their social media platform for more information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
This is an important announcement from the National Water Commission. Water supply to customers in Pepper, Goshen, and environs will be temporarily suspended from Monday, September 29, 2025 to Thursday, October 2, 2025 to facilitate maintenance work at the old Pepper Well facility in St. Elizabeth. The affected areas include Pepper, Newcastle, Lucky Valley, Renette, Fantiland, Grosmond, Goshen, Bongo Hill, Content, and Wilton. Customers may call the NWC at 888-225-5692 or its Santa Cruz office at 876-966-4018 or 876-966-3031 for more information or to request trucked water. The NWC apologizes for any inconvenience caused by this necessary work. That was an important announcement from the National Water Commission.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Freedom, speed, agility, intelligence, friendship. These are the hallmarks that define the dolphin, the master of the seas, and are the hallmarks that inspire Sterling Asset Management. For over 20 years, we have provided investment products that give our clients financial freedom, and our service is fast, insightful, warm, and genuine. Sterling Asset Management, intelligent investing for the intelligent investor.
Do it for your best life. Go check your HIV status. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me I tell yourself it, do it for you, do it for you. Every time you a link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan. Do it for your best life. Do it for your best life. Don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all schoolers who are taking.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come on wine with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat.
Life skills.
Global Connect.
And
Bust the Youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show. Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Undeniable that we should be together.
The true beauty of music is that it connects people. It carries a message. It speaks to you. It changes you. And that's exactly what we do just for you every Sunday as we take you to Urban Paradise, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Urban Paradise is our weekly musical journey that will serve up 110 glorious minutes of positive storytelling through music, mixed in with inspirational features to provoke thought and to heal the soul.
You're like a dream come true. Just wanna be with you.
So join me, Diane Ashton Smith, this and every Sunday, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. Urban Paradise, opening our hearts, connecting to others.
Everything loud and wicked every Saturday 3 to 5 p.m. with Outside with Pepita. Loan vibes, loan laughs, and loan entertainment. Come on the road with we. Cause when we say Outside with Pepita, we're there all over Jamaica. Anyway, check them out. We're there. We're in on the business. Stay tuned in for prizes, surprises, giveaways, guest artists, and enough more. But hold on there. Don't forget to big up my DJ. DJ Jerome, the shell boss, I'm gonna make you bust to pew pew with the maddest, baddest, and latest tunes. So look out for Outside with Pepita. We might be coming to a town near you. You heard it here first. Outside with Pepita, Saturdays 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. The new revolution in media. Jamaica, lock it in and don't miss a thing.
Good afternoon to you. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. You're tuned into The Cover Story. My name is Ricardo Brooks.
Top of the afternoon to you, listeners, viewers on YouTube, and of course, greetings to you, my brother, Ricardo. I'm Tyrone Reed. How are things with you, man?
I'm doing well, I'm doing well. Despite, a rough time this morning, in the NNN quiz, but,
you came out second best, but you made it to the finals. Yeah, you gave a good account of yourself. Why are you laughing?
Yes, Tyrone. Yes.
I'm trying to commiserate.
Yeah, man. Second best. Yes. I didn't miss the slide there. I didn't miss it.
No, it was not a slide. All right, you're first among the losers.
Good afternoon to our listeners. Good afternoon to our viewers on YouTube. What we have planned for you this afternoon was an interview with the Foreign Minister, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith. She's attending the UN General Assembly in New York. We're having a little bit of a difficulty reaching her right now. Tyrone, I wanted us to, in the meantime, while our producer tries to make contact, have a little discussion on what the Prime Minister did say today, because he addressed the General Assembly today. And
on the same day that Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel told the United Nations that essentially there was no humanitarian crisis in Gaza, that his government has been giving tons and tons of food to the Palestinian people, Holness stood in the same spot and said Jamaica is horrified by the humanitarian crisis. The first clip, Bugs, of that story. Here's what Holness had to say on the Israeli-Gaza war.
Madam President, Jamaica once again condemns the heinous October 7, 2023 attack on Israel and is deeply horrified by the devastating humanitarian consequences of the counteroffensive in the Palestinian territories. A just and peaceful resolution to the conflict is only possible through diplomacy and dialogue. We continue to support United Nations Security Council Resolution 242 and support the call for a ceasefire agreement that includes the release of all remaining hostages and definitively ending the protracted war and human suffering.
Voice there of the country's Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness.
Right, I just found it very stark and interesting because, as I said, about 2 hours before, Benjamin Netanyahu was essentially accusing the entire international community of what he termed, and it's such an interesting term, a blood libel, he said, against the state of Israel and the Jewish people by claiming that they were deliberately starving the people of Palestine. Of course, when Benjamin Netanyahu went to the lectern, quite a bit of the diplomats of the world walked out of the hall. They did not stay to hear him. And I've been trying to find out whether, and that was going to be one of my questions to the foreign minister, whether Jamaica and its diplomats stayed in the assembly hall while Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the UN, because as you know, a lot of international leaders are increasingly critical of how the Netanyahu administration has been conducting the offensive, the war against Hamas in Gaza.
Look, Ricardo, the war in Gaza must come to an end. This iteration of it, yes, it has to come to an end. There is absolutely no second guessing that, and that is impatient of debate. Yes, it has to come to an end. And if you notice how measured the Prime Minister was with his response, he referenced the what would have been the that gave rise to this latest war in the Gaza, that October that October 7 attack. Yes. And one can't be dismissive of that.
No, because it was a horrific attack for sure.
Absolutely, and there are people who would want to be dismissive of that, and let's say categorically that Israel, like any other state, reserves the right to defend itself.
Absolutely,
we can't make a mockery of that. Yes, but to the point now where the war in Gaza is, clearly Benjamin Netanyahu and those who are calling the shots in Israel must know that they have basically used up the credibility capital that they had. Yes. That gives them the right to say, yes, we're defending ourselves. There's a point at which it is no longer now that you are simply defending yourself. And I think it has gone beyond that point now. Yes? It has gone beyond that point, and what is happening in the Gaza must come to an end.
No, absolutely. And increasingly, you're seeing that Israel is being isolated when you have Canada, Portugal, the UK, a whole host of Western countries now saying that the time is right to recognize a Palestinian state, when previously they had been shy about that. You know, they had said that they were going to use that as leverage at the right time during negotiations on this two-state solution. Obviously, the international community is nowhere closer to that two-state solution. In fact, it's probably at its worst now at this point than it has ever been. And Netanyahu has forcefully said, he said it today again, that there will be no two-state solution. You know, so the calls from people like Keir Starmer and Mark Carney in Canada that they're just, he said, rewarding evil, and that Israel will not bow to those calls. Of course, Israel has a big tiger in its corner. And I think so long as it has that tiger in its corner, it will not move. It will not move.
More than a tiger, one would say. Yes, it's the world's tiger at the present moment. Yeah. And the truth is that the two parties solution, as it has been proffered, is problematic for achieving any kind of resolution, because the Israelis, as you have said, they're not seeing eye to eye with that at all. I'm not so certain that what is to be gained, what we need right now is that the war needs to end. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. And the suffering that is happening in the Gaza right now. Because the truth is, I'm not certain that we're ever going to move the needle significantly on that two-party state solution. I'm not certain. Ricardo, this thing has been going on for quite some time. That idea has been floated for quite some time. The Israelis are not budging on it. Is it the solution? Some, may say yes, others may say no. But given how sharply divided the views are with the parties that are involved and engaged in the war, going and saying a two-party solution is what we state is the solution now, I'm not so certain that will help to end what we're seeing now, as the suffering that is taking place. There are people in Israel who suffered significantly, tragically, violently,
and continue to suffer,
and of course continue to suffer. And then now what we're seeing in the Gaza, Palestinians are equally suffering, and we're talking about innocent Palestinians, and we can't lend support to people who just walk into someone's territory and just slaughter their citizens. There's no way that you can reasonably lend any support to that kind of activity. If you're a humanitarian, any at all, you can't lend any support to that kind of hostility.
And that is what Benjamin Netanyahu is hoping to stand on, because he's saying the barbarism of Hamas, what they did on October 7th, should never be forgiven. And he's essentially accused the international community, the international media, that every time they criticize Israel, and I'm going to use the term again because I found it so interesting that I had to research it, that what they're doing is launching a blood libel against the Jewish people.
No, Mr. Netanyahu needs to know that the war in Gaza must come to an end now, though, right? Israel has a right to defend itself, but then there is what is proportionate to the October 7 attack, and I think Israel has gone way beyond what is proportionate.
And I think that's a key point. The scale of the response, the scale of the response has not been proportionate at all. But we're up on the break. After the break, we're gonna allow you to hear more from the Prime Minister. He spoke for just about 15 minutes, but did touch on a wide range of international issues. He was quite the diplomat today at the UN.
And he touched on an issue, Ricardo, and when we come back, we deal with it. But in terms of the U.S.'s response to drug trafficking in the region, I think the Prime Minister was very skillful with his response to that.
Yes, after the break.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:47.
Burn Shack fried chicken always ready. Burn Shack, original crispy. Burn Shack, Cajun spicy. Burn Shack, a barbecue. Burn Shack, we are going Burn Shack.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Montego Bay and Ocho Rios is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay. It's also 31 in Ocho Rios.
Looking for superior quality transportation from an international award-winning provider? Well, look no further. Choose Island Car Rentals, Jamaica's leading car rental company, setting the standard for road transportation in Jamaica. For over 50 years, Island Car Rentals has been your trusted partner for reliable, top-quality vehicles. But we're more than just a car rental company. Need an airport transfer at any hour? Heading out of town and want to travel in style with a private chauffeur? Need a truck to rent for business or personal use? Or maybe you need a customized shuttle or tour for a large or a small group? Whatever your transportation need, Island Car Rentals has you covered. Call us today at 876-926-8012 or 876-929-5875 or visit www.islandcarrentals.com to book your next trip.
because island people take better care of you.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
What is the
For more
on TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Yeah,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently? But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor to go check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deepfake?
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait, I really want dege dumpling here, give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. You're tuned into The Cover Story. I'm Ricardo Brooks. He's Tyrone Reed. We were scheduled to be joined by the country's Foreign Minister, Kamina Johnson-Smith. She's in New York at the UN General Assembly. We're not able to make contact with her, so we're taking you through the highlights of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness's address to the General Assembly. He spoke for about 15 minutes. And Tyrone, you wanted to pick up on one of the other issues he spoke to.
Right, but before we get to that clip, Ricardo, and there's a question from one of our viewers, and we want to engage those who are watching, and it's a topic that recently came up that I had to address elsewhere, and Student for Life is asking. He writes on YouTube, Tyrone Ricardo, what are your views on the issue from a Christian perspective? Should we still maintain the view of the American evangelicals who say stand with, and I gather this is stand with Israel and finding all of it.
All right, Tyrone. Tyrone. I'm gonna ask. We can go back to that in the next segment because I do want to have the discussion. Yes, but we do have the minister with us now. Minister Johnson-Smith, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners. Sorry to be late.
We understand. Thank you so much for joining us.
We understand.
Let me start by asking you, there was a moment today in the UN General Assembly. The Prime Minister of Israel was addressing the audience, and diplomats across the world walked out. Was Jamaica among those who walked out?
We were not. We were represented at the Deputy Permanent rep, and Jamaica has never walked out on any delegation. That's not how we practice diplomacy. It's not how we practice international affairs. We listen, whether we disagree or don't disagree. We listen, and we think that if there was perhaps more of that in the world, that we would have a bit more peace and a bit more coming together of positions.
Absolutely agree with that posture, Minister. I must say, dialogue is what is necessary. I'm not so certain how leaving the room is going to help us to resolve the conflicts of the day.
Because these things they become a little performative, and we certainly we're not criticizing people who walked out. Every country determines the way that they wish to express their views on a matter, but we just think generally, as a general principle, a foundational principle in the practice of international affairs, that it is better to speak, it is better to be present, it is better to listen, and we think that as a small country, this is probably why we have been able to have the kind of international voice which we do, despite our size, because we do tend to be a voice of reason and a voice that is always, or rather a country that's always willing to engage.
Minister, the Prime Minister's address was about 15 minutes, if I recall correctly, and he touched on a wide range of international issues, some with great clarity, others with dexterity, a lot of skill as an international diplomat. And one that struck me, and Tyrone brought it up just before the break, was the matter of the U.S. airstrikes in the Caribbean Sea. Obviously, Jamaica now holds the chair of CARICOM, and the Prime Minister was clear I thought, in asserting the sovereign right of this zone of peace, that it is a zone of peace. And while he was accepting that there's a need to intercept these vessels, he also talked about the need to consult with the countries in the region. As far as I know, the U.S. government hasn't been doing that. Does Jamaica intend to engage further on this matter?
Well, we actually intend to engage more widely with the U.S. on a range of issues. As we know, this is the start of our third term, and it's therefore an appropriate time to re-engage and reset on issues. And there are a range of issues that exist with our largest neighbor to the north, our largest trade partner, our largest security partner, and of course the home to our largest diaspora. So I wouldn't say that we have a plan to engage on that particular issue, but we have a plan to engage on all the issues, to re-engage and re-energize and act and seek to look at our immediate way forward together.
But
this just to say that on that particular issue, the matter is still being discussed within CARICOM. One of the things that I've done here is to participate in the COFCOR meeting. Jamaican Mission actually hosted the COFCOR, and we had good discussions on the concerns among countries, and we're still thinking through the approaches on that particular issue.
Trinidad has been clear through their Prime Minister that the U.S. is welcome. I think the language she used was to kill them all violently. What has been the engagement with Trinidad as Jamaica holding chair of CARICOM, of Mrs. Prasad Besesa to be inviting the United States government to launch airstrikes in the Caribbean? What has Jamaica's response been?
We have not engaged formally with Trinidad on the issue. Trinidad, at the foreign minister level, they are quite clear on their position. They have not changed their position, but we are still discussing matters as CARICOM. We are trying to work on a bilateral meeting, still trying to make it happen between Prime Minister Prasad Besesa and Prime Minister Holness. They have a good relationship in that they see eye to eye on many issues, but they have not had an opportunity to engage formally on this one. So they will undoubtedly speak, but Prime Minister has always, as most, if not all heads do, as a matter of fact, recognize the sovereign right of countries to take the positions which they do. But as chair of CARICOM, he clearly has a higher level of responsibility to bring his heads together and to facilitate cohesion and coordination. But as we know, not even the the Treaty of Chaguaramas requires harmonization of foreign policy. It requires coordination, and we do our best to do that. But of course, we recognize that security is an issue for us within the country, within the region. And certainly we all have strong positions against narco-trafficking and all have strong relations with the U.S. to fight, traffickers. But in terms of, positions which breach international law, those would undoubtedly be of concern. So as I started, I will finish by saying that there has not been a formal engagement by heads on that issue, and foreign ministers are still discussing the issue. So I imagine, however, that in good time there will be more discourse. You would recognize that it's sensitive on the issue of international waters, and certainly you wouldn't want to preempt positions.
It is sensitive, and it may make many Caribbean nationals nervous. Airstrikes in Caribbean waters.
Nothing has happened in Caribbean waters. They've been in international waters. That's our
international waters.
International waters.
What is your word to those in the region who might be concerned that this is a little too close to home? What would be your word to those Caribbean nationals who might be concerned based on what the reports have been concerning these airstrikes?
My word would be that heads are monitoring the issue closely, and that they do intend to discuss the matter formally. They have been monitoring it, and they have engaged informally but not formally, and that undoubtedly heads will speak in good time. I'm sure all Caribbean people want waters that are free from trafficking, but perhaps would not want them to be in a way that places them at risk. So we recognize all sides of the issue, and certainly would assure them that at this time we believe that they are not at risk, but we do think that it is a matter that has to be monitored with some concern.
Mm-hmm. Minister, does Jamaica believe the United States is violating international law?
No, but I think, I accepted to take this call to discuss our UNGA 80 engagements, not to discuss a particularly sensitive and controversial issue in a way that's going to create.
But the Prime Minister did raise it
for a situation that's already sensitive.
But the Prime Minister did raise it in his address.
Positive things to speak about, and interesting things to think about, and relevant things to think about, like the focus on multilateralism, which is absolutely critical for small states like all of the same states you're asking about. We've all been here coordinating our positions on reform for the international system, recommitting to the UN at 80. Jamaica has accepted a role to be a facilitator for the review of the UN at 80 implementation mandate, which is going to be a major undertaking for the entire UN system in partnership with New Zealand. We have engaged with the G20 foreign ministers meeting. I attended the Global Governance Group, which brings the troika of G20 presidents together, South Africa, Brazil, and the US, as well as non-G20 countries, to look at how we can seek to leverage the next G20 presidency as best as possible. We've been focused on Haiti. We've engaged with Haiti. Prime Minister had meetings with Prime Minister Carney and President Ruto, and has, of course, engaged with colleague heads here. I recognize and represented Jamaica at the Beijing Plus 30 platform, the 30th anniversary of that watershed, groundbreaking conference, which set the platform for empowerment of women and girls 30 years ago. I'm engaged on a Women, Peace and Security agenda at events hosted by Morocco together with UN Women and the EU. We have been engaged with the IOM on migration, and again had the opportunity to thank them for the support that they provided in returning Mr. Etoria back home, but of course discussing the issue of migration far more broadly in terms of the circular impact on small countries like ourselves. I attended and represented Jamaica and indeed CARICOM at CELAC meetings with the EU, CELAC meetings with Japan, CELAC meetings with China, CELAC meetings with India, the intra-CELAC meeting. We've attended meetings on oceans. We attended the Prime Minister attended the meeting of the high-level panel of leaders on the ocean. I've had bilateral meetings with the Philippines, with Portugal, with Monaco, with Cuba, with Singapore, the foreign ministers of all of those countries, seeking to enhance Jamaica's bilateral relations on various issues of mutual interest, such as training of personnel, including nurses and teachers, looking at the fact that we're expanding or trying to improve our education system, and we're also looking at ensuring that our new hospitals when the new expanded Cornwall is finally built, and the Western Regional Children and Adolescents Hospitals, that they're properly staffed, with Monaco, with Cuba, with Singapore.
Minister Johnson Smith.
There's been so much that has been happening. I find it very hard to speak to you on one issue.
And we have been following all the issues, and as we said, the Prime Minister's speech was comprehensive. But you can appreciate that particular matter, because one of Jamaica's own ongoing war on gangs and drugs and guns is a significant issue, and the Prime Minister did raise it. So
it is, and that's why I answered your questions. But I thought to spend the entire time, especially as we're about to have a meeting with members of the diaspora and a meeting with another bilateral partner, so I can't stay with you forever. I thought that it would be good to remind, or actually to tell you listeners who may not have been following all of the issues, that there are other things that we're doing here other than that one issue.
All right. So you won't tell me whether Jamaica thinks the U.S. is violating international law?
No.
Very well. Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith is the country's foreign minister. She's in New York for the UN General Assembly.
Sins, apparently. Thank you
for your time, Minister.
For your interest. I really appreciate it, and I thank you also for elevating the discourse and asking probing and relevant questions on issues of topical interest. So don't take my drawing of lines to be anything other than what it is.
Appreciate your time, Minister. Thank you.
Diplomacy, Minister. That's what we see it as. The minister did make the clarification there, and I think it's important that we say this, that the strikes are taking place in what is seen as international waters, but it is also being reported to be taking place in what is known as the Caribbean Sea,
right?
Which is why it is of concern.
Yeah, so international waters meaning no particular territory has jurisdiction over the
but designated as to be the Caribbean Sea. So it's important that we ensure that is understood clearly.
Yeah, man. 5 minutes after 6, we're way over time. The headlines are next.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is...
It's 6 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has called on global leaders to take urgent action to resolve the civil conflict and war in Haiti and Gaza, respectively. He was addressing the 80th General Assembly of the United Nations in New York.
Madam President, Jamaica once again condemns the heinous October 7, 2023 attack on Israel and is deeply horrified by the devastating humanitarian consequences of the counteroffensive in the Palestinian territories. A just and peaceful resolution to the conflict is only possible through diplomacy and dialogue. We continue to support United Nations Security Council Resolution 242 and support the call for a ceasefire agreement that includes the release of all remaining hostages and definitively ending the protracted war and human suffering.
Dr. Holness's expression of horror came on the same day and from the same spot. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused much of the international community of a blood libel against the Jewish people. Netanyahu rejected calls for a two-state solution and denied that his government's offensive in Gaza was leading to mass starvation. Meanwhile, on the matter of the civil crisis now plaguing Haiti, Dr. Holness called on the international community to do more.
We call on member states to provide the necessary financial and logistic support to ensure the success of this initiative. But security operations alone will not suffice. Haiti's governance deficit and fragile institutional framework must be addressed. Once stability is restored, the international community must help rebuild the democratic institution, ensure free and fair elections, expand humanitarian relief, and invest in infrastructure to support long-term stability. Haiti's recovery requires sustained global support.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. He was speaking at the UN General Assembly in New York on Friday. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister also urged the international community to launch a coordinated global war on gangs. Dr. Holness says all world leaders must join the effort.
Gangs are now global syndicates with resources that rival nation states. Jamaica has made significant progress in tackling gangs and reducing our homicide rate by more than 50% in recent years. But we know that unless these networks are totally dismantled, our gains remain fragile. This is why we call for nothing less than a global war on gangs, a coordinated international campaign to cut off the flow of weapons, money, and the influence that sustains them.
Amid controversial U.S. airstrikes against alleged drug smugglers in the Caribbean Sea, Dr. Holness, who is also chair of the Caribbean Community CARICOM, welcomed efforts to intercept drug vessels at sea. But he offered an important caution.
Jamaica welcomes cooperation with all partners in this fight, including the interdiction of drug trafficking vessels, provided that such operations are carried out with full respect for international law, human rights, and with the coordination and collaboration of the countries of the region.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Mark Golding is to be returned unopposed as president of the opposition People's National Party, PNP. This follows the close of nominations at midday on Friday. PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell announced the outcome of the nominations.
For the post of president, we have one nominee, Mark Jefferson Golding, MP from South St. Andrew. And for the post of vice president, we had 4 nominations. That being Nikhil Phillips, MP from Northwest Manchester, Ian Hales, Member of Parliament from Western Westmoreland, Natalie Nita Garvey, Member of Parliament for North Central St. Catherine, and Mayor Norman Scott, who is the chair of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. That being the case, we will have no need to hold any elections because we have sufficient nominees for the posts that are available.
Dr. Dayton Campbell, PNP General Secretary. The Integrity Commission submitted 4 reports of investigation to Parliament on Thursday. According to the IC, 3 of the reports were accompanied by indicative rulings from the Director of Corruption Prosecution. The IC says the documents have been formally received and signed for at the Parliament. The Commission says it anticipates that the reports and associated rulings will be tabled in both houses of Parliament as soon as possible. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall.
Upper Total Tools.
Lead waka figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total Tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Draxall, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Now, PrEP makes it so easy. One pill before you link, prevent HIV.
PrEP makes it so easy. One pill before you link, prevent HIV.
You wanna do your thing with your queen or your king?
Or I get a little frisky that make you flex risky.
PrEP, are you extra bucketed?
To help you stay HIV negative.
PrEP makes it so easy. One pill before you link, prevent HIV.
PrEP tablets available at your clinic from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
60 years strong and just getting started. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica proudly presents its annual business conference, the highlight of its 60th anniversary year. Join them Thursday, October 9 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Hear from keynote speaker, CEO of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, Mr. Livingston Morrison, plus top industry leaders on global trade, the evolving CFO role, and AI in accounting. Don't miss it. Register by October 4 at icaj.org.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Raby.
And I'm Orrin Buchanan.
We start with some football as Sports Time Wolves were leading Pembroke 30-0 in the Eastern Manning Cup football competition, and St George's College beat Bridgeport 4-1. Meanwhile, in the Costa Cup action, Petersfield beat Little London 3-0, William Knibb beat Sport Volley 4-0, Alphonsus Davis and the Knox College drew 2-2, and Ocherius beat Discovery Bay 13-0.
The Jamaica Football Federation, JFF, announced Visa as the newest sponsor of the Reggae Boys as the team continues its World Cup qualification campaign. The partnership, valued at $500,000 or almost 80 million Jamaican dollars over 2 years, positions Visa as the Federation's official payment technology partner. To celebrate, Visa cardholders will receive an exclusive 40% discount on tickets for the Jamaica vs Bermuda match on October 14th. JFF President Michael Ricketts welcomed the sponsorship, noting supporting our Reggae Boys goes beyond funding the team's preparation. The Reggae Boys continue their final round qualification campaign with 4 matches remaining. They face Curacao away on October 10th, followed by a crucial home game against Bermuda on October 14th at the National Stadium. Jamaica currently tops the group with 6 points from 2 matches, 6 goals scored and none conceded, which strongly positions them as they push towards World Cup qualification.
Now, two unbeaten English Premier League side collide on Saturday when Crystal Palace welcomed Liverpool at Selhurst Park. Both clubs have started the 2025-26 campaign impressively, each avoiding defeat in their first 5 league games. That record will be tested in South London where history and momentum collide in what could be a pivotal early season clash. Arne Slot's Liverpool, crowned Premier League champions last season in his first year in charge, have continued their winning habit in all competitions with just 1 blemish on their record. Palace, under Oliver Glasner, have developed a reputation for resilience and have quietly emerged as one of the league's toughest teams to break down. In the other fixtures, Brentford host Manchester United, Chelsea host Brighton, Leeds United entertain Bournemouth, Manchester City face Burnley, Nottingham Forest tussle with Sunderland, and Tottenham play Wolves.
US President Donald Trump says he will move matches at the 2026 World Cup from any cities he thinks are unsafe. 11 US cities are scheduled to host matches at next summer's 48-team tournament, which will be co-hosted by Canada and Mexico. The USA will host 78 of the 104 matches, including the final. World governing body FIFA is in charge of organizing the tournament and selecting host cities, and any changes now or at a later stage would face logistical challenges. It is also unclear whether Trump has the authority to make such changes, though he does have a close working relationship with its president Gianni Infantino and is chair of the World Cup Task Force. The 11 cities in the US are Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Seattle. Trump was asked specifically about matches in the Democratic-run cities of Seattle and San Francisco. Both are due to host 6 games. He also mentioned Los Angeles, another Democratic stronghold, which will host the 2028 Olympics and 8 matches next year.
Of any city we think is going to be even a little bit dangerous for the World Cup or for the Olympics, you know, where they have Olympic overthrow, right? But for the World Cup in particular, because they're playing in so many cities, we won't allow it to go to, we'll move it around a little bit. But I hope that's not going to happen.
President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Now to track and field, as Jamaican middle distance runner Navaska Anderson has earned high praises from Ian Forbes, manager of Jamaica's team, to the recent World Athletics Championships in Tokyo after delivering 2 sensational performances in the men's 800 meters that shattered the national record twice in as many races. Anderson stunned fans when he clocked 1 minute 43.72 seconds in the semifinals to secure 3rd place and qualify for the final. That time broke the previous national record. But the young star wasn't finished yet. Just 2 days later, he crossed the finish line in a blistering 1 minute 42.77 in the final, placing 7th in a stacked field and lowering his own record once again. Forbes emphasized that Anderson's talent and potential are undeniable.
We had a Jamaican youngster running 142.7 plus, which is amazing, simply amazing. And of course, we are noted for sprinting. I think this will encourage some of our other youngsters to look at the 800 as an option. But I remember one evening in Totor, it was pouring rain. And who was out there, shirt off in the thunderstorm? It was Navasky Anderson, still going through his paces training. So he would have put in the work.
Ian Forbes.
Now, President of the Caribbean Association of National Olympic Committees, Keith Joseph, has lauded the region's athletes following a strong showing at the recently concluded Tokyo World Championships. In an official statement, Joseph hailed the 19-medal haul, which included 2 gold medals, as a remarkable contribution to the Caribbean's standing in global athletics.
The Caribbean athletes, helped of course by their coaches, their support staff, and by the federations that they represent and the country they represent, by and large have shown the honor developmental pathway that can only augur well for the future of the region.
The Caribbean contingent turned in strong performances across several disciplines, demonstrating consistency, resilience, and world-class ability. Joseph made special mention of Oblique Seville of Jamaica, who secured gold in the men's 100 meters, and Trinidad and Tobago's Kishon Walcott, who added another international medal to his resume in the javelin.
While we saw Oblique Seville, for example, come forward, we knew he was waiting in the wings. It was unfortunate for Tia Lafon that literally he pulled back the dust and missed the gold medal in the triple jump. We're grateful, for example, for the return of Kishon. I mean, this is a young man who upset the entire globe in 2012, winning one event after another, and then ultimately the Olympic gold medal. But he's been plagued with injury for so many years, so it's really, really good to see him come back.
Joseph also extended high commendation to the organizers of the Tokyo 2025 World Championships, noting the event's seamless execution and the world-class facilities provided.
This year's World Championships is perhaps one of the best that we've ever seen in the sport's history. I think the competition was particularly outstanding, and the Caribbean athletes made a significant contribution to that.
Keith Joseph.
Now to cricket, as Ryan Griffiths, acting head coach of the West Indies team for their upcoming T20 series against Nepal, stated that the players are acclimatizing to conditions in Dubai ahead of their 3-match series, which bodes off tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Jamaica time.
Well, it's a short series. We only got in a couple of days ago. We didn't get the ground running in terms of prep, but most of our players who just finished the CPL, which they have some cricket under the belt, which is a good sign for us. And today we will then have that opportunity to understand the condition more in Dubai.
The team will feature a plethora of young players in the squad. According to Griffith, he is eager for them to showcase their talent against Nepal.
Well, it always excites me when it comes to young players. You know what you're going to get from young players. You know the eagerness, the willingness from them. And they're hungry, so it's going to be a very interesting series, and I'm looking forward to work with these young, excited players.
Ryan Griffith.
Sticking with cricket, fast bowler Yohan Lane has replaced Shamar Joseph in the West Indies squad for the Test series against India. Joseph has been ruled out due to an injury and will be re-evaluated ahead of the Bangladesh Limited Over series. The West Indies are set to face India in a 2-Test series. The squad arrived in India on Wednesday morning and will stage their first training session on Saturday at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad.
Finally, in netball, captain of Jamaica's under-21 netball team, Roxanne McLean, says the team is determined to finish the Netball World Youth Cup on a high when they face Scotland in the 5th place playoff on Sunday.
I mean, it's our final match of the tournament and we are determined to finish on a high.
The Young Sunshine Girls broke their spot in the playoff after a hard-fought 57-47 victory over the Cook Islands on Friday. McLean praised her teammates for their spirited performance, highlighting the energy and commitment shown on court.
It was an amazing performance from the team this morning. I really think we played with purpose, we played with passion, and we played with heart. And that definitely got us the results that we needed. Everyone really stepped up, and for the most part, we stuck to the game plan that was set out by our coaches, and by just sticking to it, we were able to secure the win.
After missing out on a place in the medal round earlier in the tournament, the Jamaicans rebounded with back-to-back wins. Coach Annette Daly emphasized the team's motivation to leave Gibraltar with a positive result.
We want to ensure that although we are not in the medal contention group, we want to ensure that, we are right behind that, and we are going to work hard to see if we can secure the 5th place.
Annette Daly, I'm Alex Raby.
I'm Maureen Buchanan. That's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:23.
Commercial spaces for you. Parks and attractions for you. Housing and residential developments for you. Beautiful rental properties for you. Improving quality of life through infrastructure development across Jamaica for you. The Urban Development Corporation, making development happen for you. Brought to you by the Urban Development Corporation.
UDC for you.
From a single hopeful seed to your family's growing need. Nothing is out of reach, no matter how small they seem. Access Financial will always support your dreams. 25 years, side by side. 25 years of joy and pride. 25 years is quite a ride at the heart of helping you thrive.
Access Financial Services, 25 years strong.
Already have a T-Tag for your vehicle? Just top it up and go through. Now you can see funds in your T-Tag account almost immediately after topping up. So if you're already on your journey, you can safely pull off the road and top up using the My T-Tag app or WhatsApp, or ask a passenger to do it for you. And within 5 to 10 minutes, you can enjoy the lower toll rates and other benefits of the T-Tag link. Even if you forget to top up before you started your trip, top up your T-Tag and continue to go through quicker and cheaper on Transjam highways.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special good evening to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for keeping our company on a daily basis. We appreciate you. We invite you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. And it's one that you've been commenting on from Monday up to this point. It all has to do with the nationwide quiz that concluded earlier today. Now, as expected, tournament favorite George Davis was crowned champion, defeating Ricardo Brooks in a tense final with a scoreline of 45-34. Now, Brooks admitted that he wasn't at his best in sections of the match.
Had him pinned down under pressure. I lost my nerve a couple times, gave away a few answers, but he deserved the congratulations. He held steady and he was swift on the buzzer, but big up Team Ricardo the same way when I have nothing for shame about. We had him pressured. Yeah, he never run with it like him thinking they're going to do.
Ricardo, so we had him pressured. All right, so the victory, it was, though hard-earned, according to Ricardo, and it was evident by the score, was met with a curiously calm reaction from Davis.
This wasn't even my best quiz victory. This is less memorable as this is. Yeah, less memorable than I was in high school. And it was a meeting of Circle K Club. So the Jonathan Grant Circle K. So they invited, I think it was St. Catherine or St. Jago for a meeting, and they had a quiz. And they were losing that quiz. Because Jago and Catherine are two bad school. Yes. So they ran to my class and said, boy, if me can go rescue them. But I said, we're not part of Circle K. Then said, no, but you're the only man who can. Oh! So that's what we're running at the place. There's some running at the place. Oh, God. So that's my most memorable quiz event. This, a baby scheme.
George talked a game, I swear. George for the entire competition. George talked some woolly things. It's all fun and games, and I hope it was rather entertaining as it was for you as it was for us here at Nationwide 90 FM. So we want to know in public opinion this evening. We're asking, what was your favorite moment in the NNN quiz competition? What had you laughing? Yeah? What was the most memorable moment for you in the NNN quiz competition? There were several for me. Let me see if I can start with the comments on Facebook. JJ says, George never know say when Lisa jumper woman them say them pregnant. I don't know how George never know that. And boy, I had an experience with that one. All right. Philip Jackson is saying when the question refers to lizard as animal. And I think that was what it kind of threw off George, because the question said animal. And you don't necessarily usually hear people refer to the lizard as animal. I think that kind of threw him off. Philip Jackson says, and when Robia never know the new broom sweep clean, but old broom know the corner. Oh boy, that one up to this day. I know that the first part, new and broom and the sweep and clean. But I never remember the last part of it. Honestly, I didn't remember the last part of it. Was saying it, but she could not hear me. There are several people who say that them in a them house, them in a them workplace, and them a shout out the answer because them know the answer. And that for me was wonderful. Becca Grant is saying that her favorite moment is round 3 in the grand final. Although I enjoyed the entire competition, they can't stop Nationwide Network, but only 4% listenership. NNN have, and we are beat them bad. Dark truth. Continue the good work. Thank you so much, Becca Grant. Shines for Life Law is saying a lot, but when Ricardo didn't know, learn to dance a yard before you dance abroad. Me say we beat him bad, panity, see? Because here we know head, here with him, you never see the plane. Did you not see the plane at the end of the image? All of the images combined. Did you not see the plane? Him same thing the woman wanga foreign. Wow. A lot of participants didn't know some very simple cultural answers. They're bright but need touch up upon common sense. All right. Okay. I'll take that. Because up to this day, I never know say. Until I think it was the semifinals yesterday, I didn't know said Duppy a vice. Yeah, I never know said Duppy a vice, high pitched or nasal. I never know that, but all right. Brian is saying him win the right to. Okay, wow, can't say that, Brian. Cliff Mashup George says Ian, and Valento is saying the finals. Let's see what our YouTubers are saying. Let's see what our YouTubers are saying. John Daniel Martin says when Cliff come and win the impromptu quiz, don't it? Talk truth. Undefeated he is undefeated. The first staging of the quiz he won. The second staging he and I won. And the third staging, the bonus quiz as we put it, he won. Tyrell says yes, it was very entertaining. It was George all the way from me, says Beverly. From day one, Beverly Stewart says it was George. Full of big chat and can't defend that. All right. I'm sending you go back. I hear you. Let me see if I can get Team Ricardo pressure him, says Marcia Edwards. Team him get some pressure. My favorite is Roby saying, come again? Okay, I saw what you did there. Okay, come again. Yeah, I get it. Keep it real, says Saeed, says cockroach have no business in a fall fight. I did cockfight. Huh? So why Ricardo ball out Tana for the pink top question? Because Isa Mario, they got it. The first staging of the quiz competition, Ricardo and Tana were together as a team, and they got that same question. So that's why I'm ball out Tana. Marcia Edwards says today's final between George Ricardo, pressure cooker, George for real. Congrats. Tio. When the old man Cliff Hughes humbled George in the last segment, says Eddie. Leonard says, when Saeed Bernard didn't know the answer, patient man ride donkey. Talk truth. When Ricardo never know the greater cake question, don't it? The pinker top. Like, for me, right away, it would have just go off in my head. Pinker top. G. James says, I sort of knew it would be George, but I was rooting for Roby. And pick up yourself. Phil Kelly is saying, I enjoyed it. I laughed all the way. I like how you guys get along with each other, including Cliff. One big happy family. My favorite part. Oshoy Powell, I see you. Come again? Elizabeth is saying, true, that was hilarious for when Ricardo ball out for Tana. One judge says Kingsley Graham. For me, it was the moment when we all started reciting the pledge, when we were asked to fill in the blank. That's just one. That's just one when we were all asked to fill in the blank in the semi-final, and was it the semi-final? I think yes, it was the semi-final yesterday, and we just started reciting the whole entire thing, and Quizmaster Nora was like, all right, and we continued. That was, it was just a belly full of laughter inside the studio. Desnem says it was extremely entertaining. Me laughed so much, especially any match that George was in. The whole series was very educating while funny. Theo Patrick Holness is saying, yesterday when everyone became very relentless in quoting the words of the national pledge. Exactly. When Nora give them stern looks, says him personified. Sharon Bless says, my hilarious moment when Roby was smothered between the two disruptors name. Sharon, I say that I was the rose among thorny men. That's how I put it. Nerissa says, when Ricardo said he might matches and him like the matches when he Yes, that was funny. That was very, very funny. When he was asked the question, what do you do? I think, what do you do when you want to stall Duppy? Something like that. Lizard is not an animal, Philip Jackson says. Elizabeth says it was nerve. I think they know some of the questions, but nerve. I mean, in the moment when you work with time and say 5 seconds you have or 10 seconds for answer the question, you know the answer, but it just not come to you. Yeah, the rolling calf. I loved how Nora tried to keep it professional. Listen, Nora was the most professional one among us all because, the banter and everything, we were just having fun. It was just so awesome, and I enjoyed it to the max. My heart was happy to see Cliff just walk in after a long time, don't it? Easy Guy said, chat know the answers. Chat, y'all knew the answers. And I love how you all in the YouTube chat, you guys were just participating. I mean, I said answer them, well, when I was not participating. I saw everybody just answer. I say, yeah, man, we YouTubers them bright. Or YouTubers bright. Come to the front of the class. Oh my God, Isa Mario, the prizes or sponsors really outdid themselves. Absolutely amazing prizes. I mean, for third place, and I got so much. I mean, that made me smile today. It was indeed a good day for me. I love how the sponsors them come out to Isa Mario. I loved how they came out for all of us. Sharon said, Roby, you give yourself with that. Which one? There should be YouTubers team. Well, cheerful birds, let us see what the next staging of the NNN quiz, what it will look like. Let us see. How come George didn't know about the lizard and pregnancy? I have no idea. Got no idea. But guys, thank you so much for your support, your continued support. It means a lot to us here. We look forward to for you to see us on a daily basis, and we really and hear us, of course, for those of you who are in Radio Land. Thank you so much. The business report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:38.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Sagicor Foundation Jamaica has announced a $2.5 million donation to the Father Ho Long and Friends Foundation in support of the theatrical production Jesus 2025, a remount of the 2000 production of the same name. A launch event was held for the production on September 5, 2025, presented by Father Ho Long and Friends. Jesus 2025 is a theatrical event celebrating faith, service, and community. Farther afield, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a new wave of tariffs, including a 100% levy on branded or patent that should be drug imports from October 1, unless a company is building a factory in the U.S. Washington will also impose a 25% import tax on all heavy-duty trucks and 50% on kitchen and bathroom cabinets, the president said as he unveiled the industry-focused measures. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 161 Jamaican dollars and 12 cents to buy $1 US, 216 Jamaican dollars and 8 cents to buy 1 British pound, and 117 Jamaican dollars and 65 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. Thank you guys so much. That was the business report indeed, and I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Looking for a jam or preserve to fill your sweet cravings, but worried about calories or high sugar content? Well, look no further. Try Smucker's sugar-free fruit jams and preserves with so many tasty flavors to choose from. Grape jam, strawberry, red raspberry, blueberry preserves, and orange marmalade. With a name like Smucker's, it must be good. Find them at retail outlets island-wide. Distributed by Chassis Ramson.
Home is closer than you think when you save towards your dream home with the Homeowners Savings Plan, or HOSP, from CIBC Caribbean. With HOSP, you unlock preferential interest rates to earn more interest on your savings and pay less with a discounted mortgage rate. You can even borrow up to an additional US $5,000 or its equivalent to help you with your closing costs. Get home faster when you save the HOSP way with CIBC.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today. Looking for superior quality transportation from an international award-winning provider? Well, look no further. Choose Island Car Rentals, Jamaica's leading car rental company, setting the standard for ground transportation in Jamaica. For over 50 years, Island Car Rentals has been your trusted partner for reliable, top-quality vehicles. But we're more than just a car rental company. Need an airport transfer at any hour? Heading out of town and want to travel in style with a private chauffeur? Need a truck to rent for business or personal use? Or maybe you need a customized shuttle or tour for a large or a small group. Whatever your transportation need, Island Car Rentals has you covered. Call us today at 876-926-8012 or 876-929-5875 or visit www.islandcarrentals.com to book your next trip. Because Island people take better care of you.
Freedom, speed, agility, intelligence, friendship.
These are the hallmarks that define the dolphin, the master of the seas, and are the hallmarks that inspire Sterling Asset Management. For over 20 years, we have provided investment products that give our clients financial freedom, and our service is fast, insightful, warm, and genuine. Sterling Asset Management, intelligent investing for the intelligent investor.
Welcome back. Thanks so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Nationwide at 5. Yeah, you're inside the nation's business. I'm Tyrone Reed.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks. And
now, go ahead, Ricardo.
No, man, go for it.
Well, listeners, we want to turn our attention to this pressing issue of body-worn cameras for the members of the security forces. Now, human rights lobby group, Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, has launched a petition calling for the government to legislate the mandatory use of body-worn cameras by the police. The petition comes amid a 73% increase in police fatal shootings. In a statement today, JFJ noted that the force's current body camera policy is non-binding and lacks mandatory enforcement. Here's Robian Williams with that report.
Jamaica has recorded 230 fatal police shootings since the start of the year. 20 have occurred during the month of September alone. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, says this represents the 10th consecutive month where 20 or more people have been shot and killed by the police. According to JFJ, 118 of the 2025 fatalities occurred during planned or tactical operations. The group argues that these numbers demand scrutiny. JFJ says while the reductions in homicide and the efforts of law enforcement officers are appreciated, human rights cannot be traded in the name of national security. The group further states that body-worn cameras, while not a cure-all, have proven effective in reducing complaints and improving evidence quality in other jurisdictions. JFJ is urging the government to transform the JCF's 2021 protocol into law, mandating camera activation during stops, traffic checks, and use of force incidents. Also to secure storage and retention of footage and proactive release of recordings from critical incidents within a set time frame. JFJ is also proposing annual audits by INDECOM and immediate deployment of a portion of the current and incoming cameras to all high-risk planned operations. The petitioners say such steps would deter misconduct, protect police from false allegations, reduce community tensions, and strengthen justice delivery. The petition comes just a day after the Police High Command issued its own statement on body-worn cameras. The High Command asserted that operational decisions as to how the body-worn cameras are deployed and utilized rest squarely with the police force as a law enforcement body. Currently, the police have 750 cameras in use. 674 have been assigned to daily patrols and the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, and the remainder are used for training. Another 1,000 units are close to being delivered, and a further 3,000 are planned over the next 3 years. But JFJ is stressing that none of these have been earmarked for planned and tactical operations where most police-related deaths occur. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
Thanks, Robian. And just yesterday, the Police High Command confirmed in a statement that it expects the delivery of 1,000 body-worn cameras in the coming weeks. Of course, this comes at the end of a lengthy procurement process. The High Command says the public should be aware that it was incapable of manipulating the procurement process or spending more than the resources allocated in the country's national budget. But it's also asserting that operational decisions as to how the body-worn cameras are deployed and utilized will rest squarely with the force as a law enforcement body. It's saying that INDECOM has no role in that operational decision. Joining us now, Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice, Michael Jackson, Pro-Chancellor of the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, Professor Anthony Clayton, and the country's Public Defender, King's Counsel, Caroline Reed Cameron. Good evening.
Good evening to all. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Michael Jackson, let me start with you because I know you have to leave us soon. Talk us through the steps that led to the launch of this petition.
Well, to put in context, across several leadership at JFJ, we have been involved in calling for the body-worn cameras as far back as the pilot program in 2012. We have made public statements. We have done API requests to get a sense of where the body-worn cameras are deployed. We got the information from the JCF where some of the body-worn cameras were deployed in specific divisions across ZOZO communities, SOE communities, and so on. So our advocacy actually spans over a decade regarding this particular use of technology, which we believe, in our humble opinion and guided by evidence, not only in Jamaica but in other jurisdictions, that the body-worn cameras would be quite useful when it comes to accountability, getting a sense of what is happening in the everyday interaction between the police force and citizens. And evidence, quite frankly, in other jurisdictions indicate that once the body-worn cameras are being utilized, it actually aids with reducing the number of complaints that are made against police officers. And the police officers are also quite clearly protected with the use of body-worn cameras.
The police made the point, or they ensured, they pointed out that the deployment is a matter of operations, and it falls squarely within the remit of the police hierarchy. But certainly JFJ would take a dim view, Michael Jackson, if these body-worn cameras are not deployed on these operations that often result in the confrontation between the targets and the police, and of course sometimes it ends in the fatal shooting of these individuals. Certainly, if these cameras are not deployed there, the Jamaicans for Justice would take a dim view of that, would you not?
Absolutely, and to be clear, when we met with the police high command earlier in the year following our protest in April, we appealed to the police commissioner for a portion of the 1,000 body-worn cameras to be deployed to planned operations, because the data shows that it is needed. When you look, for example, at the number of people killed at the start of the year, it's actually at 230. 118, and we're guided by Indicom data here, 118 of 230 people killed stemmed from planned operations. So we made that appeal earlier in the year. I want to make it also clear that legislating mandatory use of body-worn cameras would not intervene with the operations of the force, because every jurisdiction that I've looked at in terms of jurisdictions that have it in law or jurisdictions that are guided by policies, the best practices would indicate that, listen, even when it is mandatory, there are clear exceptions. For example, if it may put a witness at a risk, an informant at risk, if there are privacy concerns, then you can actually deactivate the body-worn camera. And those are some of the safeguards that JFJ made it very clear that we would want to be in a proposed legislation. I think it's important to also put two things in context for the listeners. When you take an opportunity to read the JCF protocol, it's a very detailed document, quite an improvement from the earlier version. It speaks to things like privacy in keeping with the Data Protection Act, but it lacks mandatory enforcement and penalties. So, for example, when you look at Section 7 and Section 8 of that protocol, it says while breaches may result in disciplinary action, there are still no specific penalties, such as fines. What are those penalties? What are those disciplinary actions? We don't know. We are left to just the discretion of the JCF, and we're saying that that is not best practice. The other thing is that while the protocol also dictates that an officer must use the body-worn camera, it actually has some ambiguity. It doesn't speak to the activation, when do you activate it? So there's certain discretion that is still left up to the individual officer. But if you were to look at other jurisdictions, for example, New York, it gets a little bit more specific in terms of when the body-worn camera is to be activated. If you are not going to, if you're going to be deactivating the body-worn camera, you can also speak into the camera and to give reason why you're going to be deactivating it and so on. Those are the certain specifics that, in our humble opinion, should be in the legislation. And the second point to note quickly, when you look at the Zones of Special Operations Act governing the ZOZO, that's not the official name, but when you look at the law governing the ZOZO, it actually speaks to the use of body-worn cameras. So it's already in a particular legislation, subject to things like resources and, of course, the operational protocols of the JSAFE. So what JFJ is proposing is not far-fetched. It exists in other jurisdictions, and dare I say, the ZOZO is also a starting point for what we're calling for.
And
thank you very much. Mm-hmm.
I had one more question before we let you go, Mikel. You talked about other jurisdictions, and just to be clear, those other jurisdictions that you just referenced, those have the mandatory laws that require the mandatory wearing of the body-worn cameras?
New York, for example, yes. Mm-hmm. And there's something else I want to also quickly say, because some of these jurisdictions, for example, Las Vegas, when you have a critical incident that results in death, there's actually a YouTube page wherein the police release the footage, as long as it doesn't interfere, has certain sensitivity. The footage is released after a particular period has passed. So the point is that it is so transparent in some jurisdictions that I think we have guidance in terms of what we can do to make it work for for Jamaica.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's bring Professor Anthony Clayton and King's Counsel Carolyn Reed Cameron into the conversation. Prof, let's begin with you. Locate this for our listeners. What is the best practice? What prevails in most circumstances? Is it that the body-worn cameras are mandated by law, or is it just left to the police force to have its own policy concerning how it's deployed? What should be the route for Jamaica? What's the best practice when you look at the body of evidence that's available out there?
Well, there isn't a single model. There's quite a lot of countries, somewhere between 20 and 30, I think, now police use body cams. But the extent of implementation and the regulations and the law surrounding this, and whether or not it's mandatory or voluntary, actually vary significantly between all the different countries that are using it, which means that we should actually, first of all, start by being aware that there are different models for the use of body cams, and there are some different concerns, and then we can actually choose the right approach for Jamaica. Now, one of the things that I think we do need to look at is what's happened in the US, because Barack Obama asked police forces to start using body cams back in about 2014. And by last year, about half of the states in the United States were using body cams. So we now have some data on both the pros and the cons. And the pros, I think, are fairly compelling. One of them is that there's less use of violence by police. One study found about nearly 20% reduction in police officers using physical force against people who are resisting. And civil cases against police officers for misusing force fell by about 75%. The protection of officers is actually a slightly weaker effect. The number of misconduct allegations that could be proven false and thrown out of court increased by less than 10%. So it's not quite such a dramatic effect. But there was one very problematic outcome as well, which is that assaults on police officers were actually 14% higher when they were wearing body cams. And this seems to be because some people react very negatively to being filmed by the police, especially when they're maybe under the influence of drugs or alcohol, or they have mental health problems. So there is some risk to the officer wearing the body cam, which can't be ignored, and we have to have some kind of safety protocols in place to deal with that.
There are risks involved, you say, for the police officer wearing the camera.
Well, yes, that's actually what the data shows. About a 14-15% increase in assaults on police officers when they're wearing body cams. Mainly by people who may have a mental health issue or a drug or an alcohol related issue. And the sight of the thought of being filmed makes some people more aggressive. So if I do actually, I'm strongly in favour of police wearing body cams, but there may in some circumstances be a genuine risk to the officer, and that's something that we do have to take into account.
King's Counsel Reed Cameron, your office recently joined this public debate about body-worn cameras. What prompted you as a public defender to speak out?
Well, as you all know, INDECOM was created as an equal commission to the one that I am in charge of. And they were created with a specific mandate as it related to investigating circumstances in which persons' rights to life have been compromised by the state. So therefore, when it comes to a situation where persons have lost their lives, INDECOM is the body that treats with it. And frankly speaking, we have been operating in a consultative way with INDECOM as it relates to these matters. And Mr. Faulkner, who is the commissioner in charge of INDECOM, actually had dialogue with me on the subject. And the long and short of it is that it basically generated consternation and alarm, which he welcomed and invited the support.
Hold it there for us, please. We're up on a time signal. Let me just take it and come right back.
Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Do it for your best life.
The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is...
It's 7 o'clock.
Best dressed chicken Vienna sausages with no antibiotics. Everything you want in a tin. Nothing you don't want can't find in a it. Take a look at the best value. Where you cook Vienna me a look. Only the best around. Only the best around. Only the best dressed, best taste, best value, best place, best dress. Get Vienna, best dressed chicken Vienna sausages ever. 100% chicken straight Jamaican I eat.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. Jamaicans for Justice has launched a petition calling for a law that will mandate the police to wear body cameras. We had Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, Michael Jackson. She's left us. No, we have Pro-Chancellor of the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, Professor Anthony Clayton, and the Public Defender, King's Counsel Caroline Reed Cameron. So before the break, Mrs. Reed Cameron, you talked about the fact that as commissions of parliament, you're happy your office is to give support to INDECOM. The increase in police fatal shootings, 230 I think was the last figure I've seen, and INDECOM indicating at least 20 per month for the last 10 consecutive months. Has your office received any kind of formal reports from any members of the public so far this year about this issue?
No, we have not received any formal complaints as it relates to this issue. In fact, one of the things that prompted conversation too between the two commissions was that we were discussing people pursuing right to life claims after being met with circumstances such as these where the rights to life of their family members were compromised. And it was within the context of that discussion, among other things, that we spoke about the situation as it is now. That is the rise in terms of 230, which is alarming. In fact, when we looked back at 2008, which was a pre-Indicom situation, the lowest figure in that period was 224 for that year alone. So coming now to a post-Indicom introduction and seeing this figure of 230, and I suspect it's more now that we are speaking to each other this evening, it is frightening. And if it is at all a good place to be where the body cameras are introduced and they could have the impact, the desired impact, that there is transparency and possibly a reduction in the loss of life, then by all means, we have to step to the place and we have to support each other in that regard.
Yeah. King's Counsel Cameron, Reed Cameron, great last name, by the way.
Tyrone Reed.
And no relation.
What about, right? That we know of, right? So, because we would claim you know, King's Counsel. But what about those who say the architecture in terms of the governance and oversight of the actions of the police has been significantly improved with the advent of Indicom? And so if the police are guilty of something, we can't just run on the high numbers. If the police are guilty of something, that is why we have Indicom. They should investigate these matters. And of course, if people are found guilty, they will they should face the full extent of the law. Isn't that a reasonable position for an individual to take by a public defender? That look, Indicom is there and they need to do their jobs.
I quite concur. Indicom is there and they need to do their job. And in fact, do not, by virtue of this conversation, think me to be saying that I'm making any pronouncements as it relates to any of those circumstances, any of those, say, for example, 230 circumstances that were confrontations between the state and the citizens, that the police may have been criminally liable.
Absolutely.
I am not making any such
and
comment.
we're clear on that, yes.
All I am saying...
When we isolate the numbers to say 230, aren't we de facto dog whistling that conclusion?
Not necessarily. Not if you say that the loss of any life at the hands of the state, or the loss of any life, full stop, is something to be saddened by. And therefore, this number represents the loss of too many lives. And if it is that there is a position that can be taken or something that can be introduced that can assist in preventing this loss of life and preventing the compromise of this basic human right to life, then surely it is something that we should pursue. In this particular situation, it is thought that the reasoning is that the use of the body camera could possibly assist. It certainly protects the police against false accusation. The possibility is also there that it protects the citizens within the same context of conflict. And therefore, the possibility is very real that it could impact those numbers. But do not at any point think that I am at any point in time saying that these confrontations are indicative of necessarily criminal liability, for example, of the police.
Fair enough. And I want to come back to the conversations that yourself and Indicom have been having about possible action that members of the public can take against the state. But I want to come back to that. Let's table it a bit, because I want to bring Professor Clayton back into the conversation. Professor Clayton, there are those who say, look, the pre-Indicom, when we had these high numbers in terms of police fatalities, 200 plus per annum, the murder numbers were not going down. But post-Indicom now, and in particular this year, where with the increase in terms of the numbers of police fatalities, we see the murder rate nose diving. Is there any correlation that people should draw from that, Professor Clayton? Hopefully you understand where I'm going with the question, but people have been pointing to that fact that pre-Indicom, the numbers were high, the murder rate was still sky high. Post-Indicom, this year, 2025, the numbers are high, but the murder rate is nose diving, and they're saying, look, we can't make light of that. Is that a reasonable argument, Prof?
I don't think so. I don't think much of this can be attributed to Indicom. I think that what has happened is that the police have changed strategy, and they are now using an intelligence-led policing strategy, and they are targeting the violence producers in Jamaica. And one of the reasons why we've got a number of police killings is high is partly that we have to understand that these are not all extrajudicial killings by any means. A lot of these are officers who are actually taking on some very tough criminals, armed criminals. And we have to remember that an officer is bound to not use lethal force unless it is absolutely necessary, but they are also bound to use lethal force when it is necessary to protect the lives of an innocent or to protect their own life. That's a legitimate use of lethal force. So before we draw any conclusions about whether this is a good or a bad thing, we actually have to look at the cases and run the numbers and see how many of these cases involved lethal use or potentially lethal use of force against police officers. Last time I did a comparative study, Jamaica was being accused of a high rate of extrajudicial killings by police officers. But you can't just look at the raw number. You have to look at the number of times a police officer uses lethal force and divide that by the number of times a police officer is exposed to a potentially lethal attack. Once you do that, you correct for the effect, which is the violence of the situation. And when I did that, I found that our use of lethal force in Jamaica was about the same as that in the United States, which is not that high, because we had a more violent context in which the police had to operate. So you can't just draw conclusions from the numbers. You have to break it down. You have to look at the context. So the context here is that the police now are targeting some of our most dangerous killers, and therefore we would expect that the level of police killing would go up for that reason as well as any other reason. And what the relative contribution of the different factors is, we don't know yet. We haven't done the statistical analysis of the killings.
Am I hearing from you that you are not as troubled by the numbers as some people are because of those factors that you've just listed?
That's right. I mean, these are not necessarily equivalent. If a police officer uses lethal force when it was absolutely not justifiable, then that's a real breakdown in training and discipline, and that officer is a liability and a disgrace to the force. But if you have a situation where a police officer is under fire, and especially when there's a risk of innocent bystanders being killed, then the police officer is actually fully authorized and in fact has a duty to draw his weapon and return fire and do whatever is necessary to disable the person that's shooting. And if that means killing them, then that is what it means. That is their responsibility. The priority is to remove the threat to the people, to the bystanders. So you can't just say X number is good or bad. You have to look at the circumstances of each case before you can draw a conclusion.
And we have an independent body outside of the police force that is so tasked to look into these matters. King's Counsel, if I could bring you back into the conversation, you did mention conversations between your commission and that of Indicom. And the possibility for citizens to take some kind of legal action if their family members are killed by the police. Was there any consensus conclusion to those conversations? Could you bring us a little deeper into what was discussed and possibly concluded?
At the risk of telling tales out of school, what was actually concluded was that these are matters which are actually being pursued. It is an area that has been addressed in the mind of that particular commission, and the things were actually put in place to treat with those kinds of situations. We had an understanding after discussion that we are ideally placed, that is the Office of the Public Defender, to assist in matters of that nature, that being a situation where constitutional rights are being breached, and our mandate allows us to assist in treating with those issues. And the understanding was that surely we would, let's just say, hold hands in going forward.
Can we expect cases in the near future to be brought? Have any cases been identified as it?
No, we haven't gotten to that stage. We have not gotten to that stage. Where I can give you specifics.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it, King's Counsel. Thank you.
No, that's it from me, Tyrone.
All right. Thanks to both of you then. Prof, I'm not certain if you have any parting words for us, any parting wisdom that you want to leave with us.
No, of course. Well, look, nobody is in favor of the use of violence unless it is absolutely strictly necessary. And this is the situation that we put police officers in every day. Police officer has to might be dealing with a routine traffic stop 1 minute, and then the next thing you know, somebody in the vehicle has pulled a gun and is trying to kill them, and they may have to make a split-second decision whether or not to use lethal force. So every case has to be properly investigated, but we need to ensure that police officers are also not deterred in carrying out their legitimate duties. We need to make sure that we do actually support them, because it is the same police officers who've brought about the largest reduction in the level of homicide in this country these many years. So, by all means, yes, we need body cams, yes, we need short and effective investigations, but we also need to support our police in this fight that they're in, the fight of their lives.
Professor Anthony Clayton is Pro-Chancellor of the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, and King's Counsel Carolyn Reed Cameron is the country's public defender. We were also joined by the Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ Mikel Jackson. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks to both of you. Appreciate it.
So that petition is now launched, and I see Mikel sharing the link online. That petition to, I think it's addressed to the Prime Minister, the Minister of National Security, and the Police Commissioner. So,
yeah.
Tell me something, Tyrone. Do you recall that there was a period, I don't know if it still exists, where you could go onto the Jamaica House website and start petitions? You remember that, or am I making that up?
I think it's still
there. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's still there, and if you get a certain number of signatures, I'm trying to remember how much it is that some kind of response has to come, has to be forthcoming. I think that's my best memory of it, but I'm getting up in age.
That I know.
But you know, unlike you, I don't look it. But you know, Ricardo, this issue
is
concerning the police and the number of fatalities. I recall saying, on Cliff News Online that if we are going to get the murder numbers down, we may very well see, and this is before all of this unfolded,
yes,
we may very well see an increase in the number of police fatal shootings, because some of these criminals, Caroline Smith is telling us she thinks it's 15,000. I was thinking 15 or 20,000. It might be if you get 15 or 20,000 signatures. Yes, thanks for that, Carly. That some of these criminals are not prepared to go quietly.
So it's 15. It's 15,000 within 40 days. Michael Jackson is telling me, and the system has been down since yesterday. So it still exists. Yes, but it's
Okay, right. That's right. Some of these criminals are not going to go quietly, but one thing's for certain, and the police has done a lot of work. And I'm saying this to Police Commissioner Dr. Blake and all the men and women in uniform. A lot of work has gone into really transforming how people see the police. I think Jamaicans previously, too many of them took a dim view of the police, and I think that is changing. And a major reason many Jamaicans took a dim view of the police is because of those extrajudicial killings that used to take place. And I'm saying we want the murders to go down, but we have to do it by the book. We have to do it right, or we're going to lose the support of the people.
And look, another thing that needs to be said is that the same goodwill that you just spoke to that has been built up, I think it can be enhanced if you have the cameras. Because
I think so too.
Yeah, absolutely. If it is that the police has been correct all this time, that they are met with this lethal force from these people and they respond to protect their own lives and the lives around them, the cameras will prove that. Right?
Absolutely.
The cameras will prove that.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that would give the police even more legitimacy, more public support, and I think that would be better for the crime fight. I want to understand more, and perhaps you're going to have to talk to the police about it. The concern that was raised, I believe it was by the National Security Minister first, and I did hear it raised by the Commissioner, about the cameras having a particular light, and what that would mean
and that
for...
they needed to get, the ones that they had in their position.
But note, Michael just made a very important point that we shouldn't lose sight of, that in other jurisdictions, the infrastructure or the legal infrastructure allows the police officer to say into the camera, I am turning it off, and these are the reasons I'm turning it off. So I would want to hear the engagement more on that particular issue.
No, I think what they were attempting to do is to get cameras that would not have that light on it, because you become a target.
Yeah, absolutely.
If people are firing at you and then there's this bright red light on you,
especially in dark areas. Yes.
Exactly, and we can't bury our heads in the sand. Our policemen and women are going up against hoodlums who are prepared to kill them. Right? Yeah. They've been wreaking havoc on this country for far too long, and they are prepared to kill people and the police when confronted. Yes, we have to accept that is the case. So we can't have them wearing these cameras that have these, it's a target. Yeah. If you send them out into the field to perform tactical operations with this constant red light on them. Right? Yeah. That I think is sensible. But we can get cameras that don't have that effect of the red light on it to show that it's operational. And once we get those, they should be used on operations.
And I want to say something else, because I see a narrative that I think, is really just unworthy. People who call for body-worn cameras and call for police accountabilities are not criminal sympathizers.
Absolutely.
We should not, my fellow Jamaicans, make that mistake. And I'm saying it again. People who call for body-worn cameras and police accountability are not, let me say, automatically criminal sympathizers. That's not a fair label. It's a terrible smear.
It's a non sequitur.
Yeah, we shouldn't do it.
You can't just arrive at that conclusion, right?
We shouldn't do it.
Because I support the police 1,000%, Ricardo.
I do too.
And I'm happy for the work that they're doing.
Absolutely.
But we have to do it the right way. Yes.
And I think the cameras are necessary. Must be seen.
As the old maxim says, justice must not only be done, it must be seen to be done.
Yeah.
And you know, touche when we're talking about body-worn cameras, right? And that helps justice to be seen to be done. And that is why I think the police need to move on it with some alacrity. I hear some cameras are due next week.
In the coming weeks. The coming weeks is the language the police use, yes.
In the coming weeks, yes. Look, we just do it the right way. For Jamaica will benefit in the long run. Ricardo, do you know I have a theory, and it's anecdotal. It's not academic by any stretch. But the extrajudicial killings did not bring down the murder rate. When Jamaica was killing on average more than 200 people in police fatal shootings.
Right.
Were being recorded. Yeah. The murder rate was not budging.
Yes.
We were still killing more than 1,500, 1,400 people per annum. And the murder rate was steady. It was not going down.
Yeah.
Yes? Because you see those extrajudicial killings, I think they create more criminals. When people see
you radicalize people, people, absolutely. And on that point, if I could just say, Tyrone, the police ought to be aware that there are still some among them, because I've seen at least two videos in the last week, where the conduct shown on video is just absolutely wrong. There's one I saw recently. It seemed that a search was being executed in public. There were two police officers there. A young man had a bag. And the officer was using what I thought to be unreasonable force, and his colleague, who was present, spoke to the man in a much more responsible way. And the youngster complied. The youngster complied after being spoken to properly. So the police also have to be careful that while you're getting public praise now, when people see things like that, you don't radicalize them and turn them away. You're right, Tyrone. I think you're absolutely right that it did create criminals.
Look, because Ricardo, unless we're mass producing criminals, if you do the math, over 10 years and you're killing more than 200 people per annum, that's what, 2,000 people in it.
Yeah.
Unless we were mass producing criminals.
Yeah. Where did they come from, eh?
Right. Where if we're killing all of these people had the police took evasive action after they were fired upon,
and they escaping nearby bushes.
Return, .38 revolver recovered, and the murder rate was not going down. Now the murder rate is nosediving. There is something different about this time, is the point I'm trying to make. And what we can't do is weaponize by itself the high numbers. It is irresponsible to do that. We can't simply say because the police have killed more than 200 people since the start of the year, and it's way more than last year or any year before, that means something is wrong. We can't weaponize the numbers like that. We have to investigate and see if the policing is being done in the right way, if the laws are being broken. We can't just start the fear mongering and saying, oh, the sky is falling, look, the police is doing something wrong because the numbers are up. No. We've improved the ecosystem, the infrastructure of oversight for the police, and we need to allow that to do its job.
Yeah. We're going to take a break now, and after the break will be time for your calls. 630-937124, 618-88255. I want to hear you also, Tyrone, on this business of Obeah, and whether what do you think the court should do with the constitutional challenge? Soon come.
Jamaica's unemployment rate has fallen to 3.3%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is
7:27.
Best dressed chicken Vienna sausages with no antibiotics. Everything you want in a tin. Nothing you know want can't find in a it. Take a look at the best value. Where you cook Vienna me a look. Only the best around. Only the best around. Only the best dress, best taste, best value, best place. Best dress, get Vienna. Best dressed chicken Vienna sausages ever. 100% chicken straight Jamaican I eat.
None of mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking it.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. Tyrone, you know I'm a Roman Catholic, and my Archbishop has issued a statement which I find very interesting on the matter of Obeah. And I'm just going to read from it really quickly. I know you're there, Bobby, but give me a second. The Archbishop says, in view of the debate surrounding legalizing Obeah, please consider the following. Obeah and Maoism arose in the Caribbean as ways enslaved Africans sought healing, justice, and protection from higher powers. Even as the Catholic Church affirms the dignity of African cultural roots, it validates culture being purified in Jesus Christ. For the Church teaches that there is one God and one mediator between God and mankind, that is Jesus Christ. Therefore, true healing and salvation are in Jesus Christ alone. The Catechism of the Catholic Church indicates that all practices of magic or sorcery are gravely contrary to the first commandment and the virtue of true religion. Thus, practices of divination, sorcery, spells, consulting ghosts, mediums, and the dead that seek hidden powers apart from God are contrary to the scriptures. As a practice, Obeah is identified as a system that uses charms, spells, and invocation of spirits from hidden powers apart from God. Maoism is characterized by spirit possession, invocation of ancestral and other spiritual forces. The Archbishop continues. Though invocation in Maoism seems to replicate Catholic intercession of the saints, there is a distinction. He says, Maoism calls on ancestral and spirits to act with their own power. Catholic requests the saints to pray to God for blessing, acknowledging that all grace, healing, and protection come from God alone. Hence, intercession of the saints is aligned with the following scriptures, and he gives a litany of scriptures. Revelation 6, 9, 10. The martyrs in heaven cry out to God, interceding for justice on earth. For Catholics, emphasis is that deliverance belongs to Jesus Christ and his church. Therefore, healing is in the name of Jesus Christ, the sacraments of anointing, the Eucharist, reconciliation. Protection is had through prayer, sacramentals, and blessings with holy water, crucifix, medals, and true spirit possession is by being filled with the Holy Spirit. Hence, the Church's mission is to lead all persons from superstition into the freedom of the children of God. Now, this is interesting because I obviously can't offer correction to my Archbishop. He's my spiritual father here in Jamaica. But here's what I find interesting about this. Because when I read it, the first thing I thought, but we asked the saints to intercede, and the Archbishop seems to say that there's a distinction. I don't think that distinction is persuasive, and here's why.
I must interject here, and I say I don't think that is biblical either about asking the saints to intercede. But that's another point.
You're gonna come with a Protestant argument, and that's not where I want to go tonight.
But scriptural.
I don't. He just cited the scriptural reference, but we're not going to go on that road. But I don't think it's persuasive. And at its foundation, this just seems to me to be a battle of not so much a spiritual battle, but a cultural battle. Because the question then is the superiority of the belief. The Christian belief, right, which has its origins in the Western world, and more specifically the Roman Catholic Church, which is heavily associated, obviously, Rome, Europe, European civilization, etc. It just appears to me that we are privileging that belief system over the African belief system. And obviously, I've subscribed to the Catholic faith and the Christian doctrine. Mm-hmm. But if I was from some far-flung part of Kenya or Nigeria, where native religions still dominate.
Why does it have to be far-flung?
I mean, because in the more remote parts of those countries, you know, Christianity might not have penetrated as deeply in other parts. Would I be looking at the Catholic Church, the Christian faith, and saying it is authoritative in the way that the good Archbishop lays out here, such that it overcomes authentic and African?
I see you struggling, so let me help you, because I don't want you to
get into trouble with the Archbishop. I'm trying to choose my words carefully. As I say, I cannot offer correction to the Archbishop. I cannot do that. Let me help you. Go ahead, Bobby. Bobby's on the line. Bobby. Look here, Bobby. Let's take Bobby first, because I suspect you're gonna be long. Bobby.
No, man. Actually, this is very quick. Actually.
All right. Let's hear Tyrone, Bobby.
We're going to be very quick, Bobby. We're going to take you after this. Look, you just outlined there something the Catholic Church believes, which I don't think accords with Scripture, which is asking the saints to pray.
You're losing the plot, Tyrone.
I'm finishing. I'm wrapping it up. Just listen to the point. I don't think it is consistent with Scripture, right? Do I think you should be jailed because you're doing something that isn't consistent with Scripture? The answer to that is no. I don't think people who practice Obeah ought to be jailed. We can make an argument that they need deliverance, they need the Lord Jesus Christ, but to be jailed, to be seen as a criminal is not the answer.
So you think the court should strike it down? You think the court should strike it down?
No, I'm saying I don't think jail is what those people need. That's not.
No, but then so what would be, so what would be the consequence then? Would you criminalize it? Continue to criminalize it?
What I'm saying to you, Ricardo, is I'm not going to be advocating for it to be removed. But what I'm also saying is,
what is the purpose of maintaining it? What's the purpose of maintaining it?
If it is struck down, I would not see that as being problematic, because I don't think that jail is what these people need.
Hear you. Bobby.
Ricardo.
Yes, sir.
I am going to take on my friend Tyrone. Ricardo, tell her that he is a Roman Catholic. I am also an Anglican, another branch.
Oh dear.
Of the Catholic faith. And look here, in the catechism,
I'm surrounded by. I need to have some Bible studies, and I invite you guys.
Hold on. Hold on. In the catechism, you see, the Catholic is built on three premises: reasoning, tradition, and study. Right? The study comes. Everything we do comes from Scripture. You know, when you read the catechism rubrics, everything You can find it in the Bible. We don't do nothing that doesn't come from Scripture. Right? So,
who is the Anglicans?
Right, Anglican and Roman Catholic.
No, man, I can't.
Well, Bobby, I'm gonna walk away. Bobby, I'm gonna walk away from it because I think the Anglicans have gone far left on a number of issues.
Sir Bobby, you see, you're trying to defend him, you know. And
No, hear me. No. Hear me, Bobby. Hear me. Remember, you know, the break with the Catholic Church that the Anglicans made way back in the
didn't go far enough.
What was that? The 16th century.
Right, yes, in the 16th
century. But if you look at the modern Anglican communion, I mean, certainly, I suppose we here in the Caribbean, the Anglican Church in the Caribbean parts of Africa, have largely stayed true, I think, to orthodoxy. But in places like Wales, in places like the United States, in places like the UK, the Anglican communion is straying very far from Christian doctrine, my brother. I was very surprised.
From Christian doctrine.
I was very surprised, for example. To learn that there is an archbishop of the Anglican Church who I believe she is married to a woman. And they live together. I just want to get it right. I think they live together in the church rectory. I couldn't understand that. I genuinely didn't understand the compatibility with scripture and with church teaching, and I haven't found any explanation for it. But your bishops are elected by the membership, right, Bobby?
Related.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that could be it then.
Look here. And Ricardo, you have to understand one thing also. You see, in the communion at your mass, you see, you believe in the accident that happens in your communion. We believe.
What accident? No, there's no accident in the celebration of the Eucharist. There's no accident.
Nolan, at your Eucharist,
yes,
which you call the mass, you believe that the wine and the bread is the real body.
Transubstantiation, yes.
Is the real body of Jesus
Presence
Christ.
Yes.
In the Anglican
Church.
Protestant
Tyrone, what you shake your head. Lack of in camera bugs. Yes,
in the Anglican Church.
But in the Anglican Church, you believe it's just bread and wine.
In the Anglican Church now, Eucharist, the bread and the wine, we believe in the presence of God appearing on the altar to consecrate the bread and the wine as his body and blood, so we as the people can feed on it, and we will never be hungry and we will never thirst. Right? The Roman Catholic do it a total different way.
Yes, the correct way.
Huh?
The correct way.
No. The Roman Catholic stray a bit from the point in that.
No, you listen to an Anglican who is an offshoot of Catholicism telling us he's strayed. Bobby, what else have you mind? No, Bobby. Neither walk the road with you, Bobby.
When you are
which one are you more wrong is this discussion?
Yeah, I know, and I reject that premise, Tyrone. No, I don't know that.
Which of you is more wrong?
Yes, Bobby.
When the priest, is doing his Eucharist in the Roman Catholic Church, and he have the fractum where he hold up the bread and him said, "This is the body of Christ."
Well, that's not what he says, but yes.
Okay, then. In the Anglican Church, we said, this is the bread, which symbolizes the body of Christ.
Yes,
the Roman
Protestant
Catholic
movement. As a part of the Protestant movement, you bastardize the Mass. Yes.
Right? So make I tell you something. So when we break away, right, from the Roman Catholic thing there, way back there, under the auspices of King Henry the 8th and so on. The main reason why the Anglican Church have done that, it is because King Henry didn't want the Pope to sort of...
No, you don't try whitewash history. That's not why.
No,
he wanted to divorce his wife. He wanted to divorce his lawful wife to marry his mistress.
No, Ricardo.
You, Bobby, don't come here, come whitewash history. No, because the Pope. No, Bobby. I won't allow you to do that. No.
He did not want the Pope to lay down a sensitive virtue on the people because look here.
No, Bobby. No. That was the contrived reason, Bobby.
You and Bobby are going to end this.
Bobby, I'm going to take another call. Thank you for the call.
We're going to take our next call. Nads J on YouTube keeps saying, Tyrone, give us your take. On what exactly? That these two gentlemen are eminently wrong? Which part of it? That the Roman Catholic Church claims to be the first church, and it's absolutely not true because it came more than 100 years after the church had started. There are so many things that are wrong here, right? But I'm going to leave the Anglican and the Catholic to try and hammer it out, and then I'm going to have to try and invite them to some Bible studies to give them truth. So who is up next? Have a good evening, Bobby.
Good evening, Ricardo.
What's on your mind?
Good evening, Tyrone.
Bless up, my
Tyrone and Ricardo, one of the things that I have observed, watching quite a bit of the videos on social media about the police and stuff in the street and stuff like that, is that a lot of police really, I don't think they really understand some of the laws as to what they're supposed to execute and the way how they are going about dealing with the citizens. It's unlawful. You see, just for example, Justice David Batts had made a ruling in the Supreme Court that police under the Road Traffic Act doesn't have the right to pull over somebody without probable cause.
Justice Batts, you're right, sir. That's what the law says.
But the police feel like they still have the right to do so. I remember I was on the radio when this ruling came out, and Justice Malawu Fort was on the radio doing a program called Justice on Power 106. Me and her had a conversation for almost an hour talking about this, and she was delighted that it came out. But she was an attorney general, and nothing had been sent out because Justice Batts at the time had asked his clerk to send out to the police commissioner and send out to a few other people as to what the law said and what the police supposed to do. But the police are not conducting probable cause to search people in the street. The police think they have the power to do such thing without probable cause. Probable cause is a constitutional right in Jamaica.
Well, no. Probable cause is not a constitutional right, but I understand the principle you're explaining.
Probable cause is not a what?
It's not a constitutional right.
Who told you
My
that?
brother.
We cannot be arbitrary just search and siege and all of these type of things.
I'm saying
you have to ask probable cause. Probable cause is written in the Constitution.
You want me to pull up the chart and read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ask a question, Tyrone.
I'm not asking a question. I'm actually offering a comment here based on what Omalo has put on the table. From the ruling came out by Justice Batts, and it was in relation to, a matter of fact, the case that was before Justice Batts wasn't even about the lawful nature of the stopping and searching under the Road Traffic Act. My best memory is that a taxi operator was stopped, an altercation ensued, and I think he was assaulted. And that's what occasioned the case, and it was brought before the courts. But it's in handing down the ruling, Justice Batts made this, he noted this in his ruling, that look, this notion that the police has the right to just randomly pull over citizens isn't in keeping with the law. The Road Traffic Act does not give them any such power. And of course, citizens should be allowed to move about freely. You should be able to move about freely. Now, what should happen, Omalu, is people who are so stopped by the police, and this is the only way we're going to solve this, should take the police to court. That is what they should do. They should file lawsuits, and then the message will be sent. Unless we become more litigious as a society, this particular law is going to continue to be ignored. The police, in the immediate aftermath, my best memory, they argued that even if the Road Traffic Act doesn't give them that authority, other pieces of legislation might have done. So I can't ever recall coming across them saying which pieces specifically, but the ruling by Justice Batts was clear, and yes, it continues to be breached. I'm not certain if someone has taken the police to court on it.
Just a minute, Tyrone.
More people need to. Go ahead, man.
Tyrone, a ruling can come from the governor, from the Attorney General. He is the one that will be getting the lawsuits that will put the burden on the government to pay out. The Attorney General can put out a ruling as to the legality of what the police are able to do in a traffic stop or to search the people on the street side. You have to have probable cause. Probable cause is a part of the Constitution of Jamaica.
You keep saying that. And the right that I think you're referring to is the
No,
right.
you can look it in the Constitution.
I am
right.
reading from the Charter of Rights, sir. The right to everyone to protection from search of the person and property, respect for protection of private and family life and privacy of the home, and protection of other property and of communication. That's the only right I think you're implicating there.
You just type probable cause and the Jamaican
I am looking at all the rights in the Constitution. I'm telling you there's no such right to probable cause. It doesn't exist.
I can bet you money on that.
You want me to read all of them to you?
I'm not talking about the Charter of Rights. You type in it.
But Omalo, you said there is a right to probable cause. Where would that right come from if not the Charter of Rights? The rest of the Constitution is about the structure of government. So where else would it come from? No, tell me something I can go look for it. Tell me which section.
When you get off the phone, get in touch with a lawyer.
Omalo,
explain
the last time you challenged me on these things, you were wrong, you know.
No.
I'm saying to you, it's
a right. You cannot be arbitrarily searched by police.
And I'm saying to you that right, I suspect the right you're implicating there is the right to everyone to protection from search of the person and property. But I'm saying to you there's no freestanding right to probable cause.
Freestanding is different. You see, that is the thing. It may come under certain other things.
Like
but
what?
Probable cause is a right that Jamaicans have, that you cannot, without that cause, without probable cause, you cannot just arbitrarily search me.
All right. Gents, we're gonna get learned counsel to comment on this to settle the matter between Ricardo and Omalo. But Omalo, thank you for the call, Don. You've raised an important issue. Thank you, man. Have a good one.
Done.
Hey, what's up, my friend? Oh, I'm good. Hi, Tyrone, how are you?
I'm not too shabby.
Ricardo, I was with you all the way. Even if you lose, I lose with you. You know, I'm a lawyer.
Thank you, Don. I appreciate that.
I'm a lawyer, listen. I went down this year. Yes, tell me something. I saw a demonstration of the pastors on TV the other day.
Yes.
Is it they were demonstrating against Obia?
Yeah, they didn't think they don't want the courts to strike it down.
Can you imagine? The pastors were in the city where it is alleged that the first citizen of that city of Sunstone, that's a woman, and they were quiet and silent.
Allegedly, Don. Allegedly.
No, allegedly.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Let me use the word.
Yes.
Allegedly boxed a woman. The first city was at Paris, and the pastors no come, and the pastors right there with umbrella covered their head demonstrate about Obia. They ought to be ashamed. I was expecting that the churches. I don't hear anything from Miss Jeanette Calder. I don't hear nothing from civil society. I don't hear nothing from people like Mrs. Sutherland, who spoke about something that all know nobody can prove. And a woman was allegedly boxed by the spirit of the man, and not a word.
No, but you want them to go out and protest a matter that's before the court?
No,
before the matter is decided.
They could have spoken about it.
And the matter is to be decided. It's a matter for a court to adjudicate upon.
But Tyrone, I sort of see that different from you, Tyrone, because as I've made the point before, when George Wright, the matter involving George Wright came up, there was no charge. Nobody had confirmed that George Wright was on a video. And the other voices that Don just spoke to called for George Wright to resign from Parliament.
Thank you.
And I have,
or to say whether or not he was the person in the video.
That's where it started, but it ended with him. The calls for him to resign. No, hold on, Tyrone. No, let's be clear. There were calls for him to resign for sure.
Thank you.
If he were the man in the video,
precisely. But I'm saying in this instance, if the principle is that there is an allegation that he's the man in the video, and based on that allegation, you've called on him to resign, where no criminal charge has been laid, no confirmation had come.
Thank you.
I admit to you that I struggle to see how where a criminal charge has been laid, you have not said anything. Not even fine. Even if you don't say he should resign, you have said nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
I think that is inconsistent. I think that's inconsistent.
No, but what Lady Dawn is attempting to do here is if you don't protest him for this, you can't say anything, and that also isn't something that is feasible. That can't be the approach that you take. That can't be the approach that we take to issues, because no one group is going to speak on every single situation. It is not going. It's just not feasible. But the truth is, and this is my best memory of it, reasonable people were calling for George Wright to say whether or not he's the person in the video, and then now you know where to take it from there. Because had he said I'm the man in that video, then the cause for his resignation would carry weight. But that's what needed to have happened. He needed to have come forward and say to the public, I am that man in the video, or I am not the man in the video, and that has to and that still stands. It still stands that would have been the decent thing to do.
You're a whole heap of things that was said. They asked for him to resign. And I am saying, and I was not saying that the church, the pastor should come out and demonstrate. I was not saying that. I'm saying they came out to demonstrate. And when we are clearing things, everybody mouth shut. All of the people who were talking about personal story signs, they have compromised themselves. And I won't mention why I don't carry them back, because I don't want to hear anything from them. And
no, you're trying to silence people whose actions you don't agree with. Come on, Don. That can't be the approach.
Oh, you mean it can't be the approach? If you can't speak out on all the things, don't come speak out on some things. It don't look good. All of them underwear show. All of them orange underwear was exposed. And that's all I have. I have a whole more thing to say. You know, I must sympathize with those who making that school bus accident, those children. I was so saddened to hear, and I'm happy that none of those children died. But can you imagine if it was one of those yellow buses? Gently up people. Bye, Ricardo. Have a great night. A good weekend.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So I just found, Tyrone, at least 5 civil society groups here calling for the resignation of George Wright. At least 5.
What was this? You found the actual statement?
Hold on. I'm just going to open it here. So this is based on our reporting, Nationwide's reporting. 5. I found a statement from JAMP. That headline calls for resignation. It's taken a little while to open.
Mm-hmm.
But I know those.
He's being charged.
I know those calls. Here we go. JAMP, NIA, Jamaicans for Justice, Stand Up for Jamaica, and can't make out this logo here. But they issued a joint statement on April 25, 2021, and it's headlined. Advocacy groups call for MP George Wright's resignation. Yeah.
Right.
I have to read the rest side. The headline is clear.
without knowing. No, the reasonable man reads the story. All
right. You want me to read it?
That's the standard.
The Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, National Integrity Action, Jamaicans for Justice, Institute of Law and Economics, and Stand Up for Jamaica called for the resignation of the Member of Parliament for Central Westmoreland, George Wright, with immediate effect. For the last 2 weeks, Jamaicans at home and abroad have been grappling with the question of whether Parliamentarian Wright is guilty of a violent and barbaric physical attack on a woman. Many have come to a conclusion based solely on the CCTV footage. This call, however, is being made on the strength of official statements made by the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Labour Party. Still want me to continue?
Yeah,
because if it is made on the strength, hold on, Tyrone. Allow me, Tyrone. Allow me. Allow me. If it is made,
we don't have all night.
No, we don't. It'll take a minute. If it is made on the strength of the statement from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, I don't know what other statement could be stronger than a criminal charge.
That's a reasonable argument.
Very well.
That I think is a reasonable argument. But calling for George Wright to resign without knowing if he was the person in the video, I think the real issue here was he should have said it is me or it is not me, and I still maintain that.
And I support. I agree with you on that. Just to be clear, I am not defending what happened in the George Wright issue. What I am saying is that the consistency, I think, is important
for these groups that so committed themselves.
Absolutely,
yes. If he has been now charged, they should come out and say something.
Yes,
that is reasonable.
Yes, that's it. We're out of time.
That is not inconsistent. Right.
We're out of time. Dana Davey, thank you. Bugs, Andrew Glenn Anderson, thank you. My colleagues in the newsroom, thank you. All our guests this evening, thank you so much. Really appreciated it. Our callers, contributors, you are valued listeners, and the YouTube massive, thank you all so very much. And to all of Team Ricardo who supported me, every single one of you, thank you so much. I probably need to choose one member of Team Ricardo to take with me for the weekend for two at either Yardman Adventure or Princess Resorts. Yeah, two weekend for two.
There's no Team Ricardo.
There is a Team Ricardo. You don't see a bad man. You're a little bit a Protestant, a bad man. My name is Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Tyrone Reed. Good evening.
Good evening.
Escape to Idlewild Island, a grill where sand and serenity meet. Visit idlewild.com or call 876-957-3302. Idlewild Island, stay a while.